0. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Minnesota LCS. I am your play-by-play caster, Steven Sir Bucket Kangas. Joining me today is actually Donovan Fenris Faye. We have not been casting together for a really long time, Don. This is going to be really fun and exciting, kind of bringing back the dream team from last split.
Yeah, last time we casted is over in the last split, as you mentioned, and today we have some pretty exciting games. We have the UMD Chicken Chasers as well as McAllister.
Yeah, they're going to be our first teams against each other. Chicken Chasers 4-3 record, whereas McAllister are 2-3. There's a slight game discrepancy because there have been a couple remakes of games as well as spring break really played havoc on our scheduling system. But eventually, all teams will play the same number of games. McAllister will be playing catch up in the coming weeks. But just a quick word from our sponsor, Envade Gaming. Thank you for sponsoring our show here. Go check out their website to see all of our gaming apparel there, as well as Caster's Caravan, bringing the play-by-play and color commentator for the evening. Now, Don, talking about these teams, I unfortunately missed last week because of my spring break, but you were there for all of it. So tell me about these teams. How have they been performing lately?
Well, most of the teams have been showing a bit of improvements in terms of jungle control, specifically in invading as well as defending your own jungle. Both teams have been seeing improvements, as well as I would argue the overall pick and ban choices with each team have increased dramatically to where they're having far more defined picks, far more power picks, and the bans are being a lot more selective rather than just banning what they think could be powerful. They're more banning what they now know is powerful from the other team, doing things that are a lot more targeted.
Yeah, and I think that that's the name of the game when it comes to this tournament. We can talk about meta slaves, but a lot of these players opt for more of the comfort picks. There's a lot of players that we know specifically thrive on one champion. Sometimes it happens to be in the meta, so it gets banned out, but other times it's still banned, even though, I mean, they might not be a scary champion per se, but that specific player on that champion is scary.
Yeah, exactly. We have it where there are those people like Kitty Robots with the Scion pick. We also have, I believe, Boosted 420 has shown some really good Echo performance as well. So those are just some examples from the Chicken Chasers, and not every single other person has that pocket pick type champion, but they definitely have that roster of picks that they are well known for.
True. Gavin97, another one. This was more last split when he played support for UMD. He had a couple breakout games on Brand, which then got Brand banned against him, in which case he'd play Zyra. So there were a couple games he actually had pulled the Brand and the Zyra bans. So we'll see if we see that kind of target bans going forward. But let's talk a little bit about the meta currently. Specifically AD carry. We've seen a small shift for a long time. At the beginning of the split, it was all Jhin and Varus and LCS, and some of that translated to Minnesota LCS, not all of it, but a good amount. What do you think we're going to be seeing here when it comes to AD carry picks?
Well, more likely we'll be seeing more Lucians than before. He has been a massive increase in popularity, especially with the recent changes that made his Q and his W a lot smoother in terms of how fast they are in the later parts of the game.
As well as the build.
Yeah, no, there's that new build of Blade of the Rune Cain, Black Cleaver, or even a Trinity Force that is just incredibly powerful, or you can also still opt into the crit build to have that late game insurance.
Yeah, and that kind of flexibility is nice as an AD carry. You can kind of pick the AD carry early and then draft the team dependent, because you know your AD carry can go for the early game or the late game, so the rest of your draft isn't as dependent on trying to scale into the late game, because you can say, okay, Lucian just build crit, and then we can have maybe our top laner or our jungler be more aggressive early. But talking about that earlier game build, getting the Bork, getting the Black Cleaver, it's kind of reminiscent of old Lucian before there was changes to Youmuu's Ghostblade, when that was the big build for him. Do you think that there's parallels there?
I think it's mostly just because Bork now, or Blade of the Rune Cain now gives more AD than just attack speed, which is far more favorable towards those casters. And Lucian specifically works really well with on-hit build due to his double up passive and the way in which, if you can weave his spells properly, you'll be getting up to 16% of current health damage after every single spell attack, which makes for a lot of very high damage against those tankier champions. And we've been seeing those champions rise up in popularity specifically in support and top laner roles, due to some of the more changes to early game tank items or the nerf to those big duelists up in the top lane, as well as the introduction of Stoneborn Pact being brought down to the support role.
Yeah, I like that kind of tankier support now. Just the other day, me and my roommate, Money Trees, as some of you might know him as my typical casting partner this split, but he and I were watching some old Worlds games, and we were laughing at how the bot lane was an Alistar versus Braum as supports, and that hasn't been seen in a very long time, but it's starting to come back. These tankier supports are kind of gaining popularity again because of those changes. And I personally like seeing that. I like seeing the Alistar as a playmaking support or as kind of that peel support. You can just protect the AD carry. It just adds a little more finesse, I guess, to the way the teams play, because picks are a lot easier to land if your support is able to help out, catch the enemy player out of position. Whereas if you have something like a Lulu, something like a Brand, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah, and in relation to those more tankier supports, we also have some AD carries that synergize with those supports come into play, such as Caitlyn and Ezreal, who are big all-in type AD carries as well as poke AD carries that synergize incredibly well with full engage type tanks or peel heavy tanks. In Caitlyn's case, it's mostly due to her ability to zone out enemies with her traps that can keep the ally tank support safe from ranged harass, as well as being able to siege towers down excellently, and then use that siege potential in combination with the dive power of the fellow supports to really make for a painful bot lane to deal with in a way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you've really played against that, but a Caitlyn with like an Alistar or
I've been
Caitlyn...
playing as that. Don't worry, Don.
Yeah, no, that is just painful to deal with.
Especially helpful if you have something like a Lee Sin jungle, something that can really dive in from a distance and get a lot of damage in. Alistar tanks the turret as Lee Sin and Caitlyn are able to lay in that damage. Almost guarantees a kill if you're level 6. So hopefully we see something like that. I love those really flashy plays. They're the most fun, most hype to talk about in game. So we'll see what they decide to pick for us in this pick and ban phase. Unfortunately, again, I don't know what some of these players have been picking in the past, but that just means that I get to be surprised, which is even more fun.
Well, I can let you know right now, one of the more common picks we've been seeing throughout the last few weeks has been Graves in the jungle. He's actually been very close to a pick ban rate within the last 2 weeks, and part of that is due to his incredibly powerful early clear, as well as it being very safe, as well as his ganking potential around level 3 is unmatched, except for against Elise, Hecarim, and Lee Sin, which will usually be the contenders against him. And every now and then, we also see people like Kha'Zix come up in the jungle role, just because if you can dive in as a Kha'Zix and get that quick kill for your jump reset, you can easily go in and out of fights with ease. It's just a much higher skill cap than some of the other junglers that we've seen thus far.
Yeah, and now we are getting a lot of R's from the side of McAllister. They are eager to get into this game, and it's looking like Chicken Chasers are ready as well, so we should be able to start this game, get into the pick and bans, and get into the action. Again, this is game 1 of Minnesota LCS for this week of week 8. Keep in mind, there's only 3 weeks to go, so it's getting into crunch time.
Yeah, and we're going to have the first ban be Garen.
You know, the classic target ban that we were just talking about. He's really not considered a powerful champ, in my opinion, but I mean, if Stwide can play him well, it's worth the ban.
Yeah, or could be one of the other players in a different role. I mean, I haven't really seen Garen in a while, so he could easily be strong in something such as jungle or support. You don't really know. Maybe we're going back to season 1 where there's the Garen Bush tactic?
True. And I did play a game on my Smurf the other day, still ranking it up to level 30, and there's a Garen support with TP, so you never know. They can pull out anything. But the Graves ban does make sense.
Yeah, as well as a Lulu ban, which has been gaining a ton of popularity, specifically in the support role. Right now in solo queue, support Lulu is sporting a close to 55% win rate and a 25% pick rate. It is just monstrous due to the way in which Lulu synergizes with this meta. It's a bit of longer fights that has it where people are going for these mid-game builds, And Lulu is that champion that can buff up her allies to make that late game build or the mid game build seem like a late game build due to her W as well as her E, just having the Whimsy plus Art and Sensor proc, giving a ton of attack speed non-hit effects.
Yeah, very strong pick right now, but we're seeing a lot of jungle bans coming out here. Respect given to Zyx and Hear Me Roar. And now Yasuo, though, as the final ban. So Yasuo can be played mid or top. Arguable if jungle. I would say no, but some people swear to it. But he is banned out as well. So this leaves up a lot of other choices here, one of which is Camille. Kitty Robot might lock it in. And he does choose to take the Camille. So opting away from that tankier top lane and instead going for a damage.
Yeah, it is a bit of a duelist, so we'll be able to work easily against split push as well as be able to 1v1 those tankier top laners. We still see Nautilus picked up a lot. Maokai did have that recent nerf, but I don't think it's really enough to drive him completely out of the top lane. He is still a fairly strong pick. It's just he's not nearly as strong in the early game due to his higher mana costs.
Yeah, and his clear being a little more difficult makes it so he can get pushed under turret even easier, which is something that Camille can do pretty well. If she's able to get Tiamat early, push those waves in, can become very difficult for tanks to deal with. Something like a Nautilus might be a little better, with the natural push potential that he has. But maybe they'll opt to answer Camille with a duelist of their own. Maybe send an Aurelia top or a Fiora, something along those veins. We have seen that rise in popularity a little bit with these tankier supports. But it is actually a Shen locked in. They hovered the Nautilus and decided, no, Shen is what we want. He provides that global pressure as well as an ability to kind of duel with the Camille in a way.
Yeah, specifically because Camille, one of her strongest abilities is her Q true damage. And Shen, if you can pop his dodge ability, it makes so you can completely negate all of that damage, as well as using your Q, the Twilight Blade, to really duke it out with Camille where it's going to be doing % health damage, and usually you'll see Camille with her early items such as Trinity Force and Titanic Hydra stacking health but not resistances, which makes it just that much more effective.
Yeah, and then the Thresh Ahri lock-in, showing their support but not their AD carry yet, even though they know that they're against a Caitlyn. They're choosing to not pick what we assume could be the Ezreal being a very strong pick now in Gavin. Not typically as the AD carry, but he's played a lot with Ezreal's on his team. So I'd like to see him pick it up. We talked about how strong that champion is at the moment. So it makes me wonder why they would show their mid laner Ahri if they have a fairly obvious pick in AD carry. Maybe they're looking for something spicy. Maybe they're looking for the Urgot.
I doubt that's actually going to be locked in. And as for going with the Ahri early, right now she is an incredibly powerful mid lane pick just because she has the mobility, she has the wave control just because of her simple, powerful wave clear once you hit around level 5 and get the Lost Chapter. And she is that kind of mix between a control mage and an assassin, so she can play to whichever style you prefer, or whichever style you are allowed to based on how far you head from the early game. And it looks like they're hovering double marksman right now, still have that Urgot hover. There's 20 seconds left to lock in.
20 seconds.
I'm hoping
make the right decision.
I'm hoping they don't go for it. I don't want to see the Urgot. Sadly.
You don't think it's good into the Caitlyn? Oh!
Oh!
And it's locked in. Chicken chasers, call your bluff. Or I guess you called their bluff, and it wasn't one. Urgot locked in with the Kindred jungle, something we haven't seen in a very long time. So they are definitely looking to spice this game with no pure tank and a lot of damage.
Yeah, and Kindred does receive a recent change, not necessarily to any direct numbers, but more to the early stacks that you can get through the jungle monsters, where it's guaranteed the first few stacks are going to be from Scuttle Crab, which makes it incredibly easy to kind of get that early game damage stacking up. You don't have to worry about the Raptors or the Krugs being where you need to get the first few stacks from your jungle. And it makes it so that you don't need to be real gank heavy on Kindred anymore.
Yeah. And now what is going to be answered on the side of McAllister, though? They're hovering the Gragas, and it is locked in. We have seen Gragas kind of rise and then fall, and now slowly rise again. as a jungler. Also seen him play top lane a couple times, but junglers have been picking him up more and more, saying that yes, he's still viable even after that kind of famous nerf last split where his ultimate cast time went up to be an actual full second of cast time. I believe it's a second.
It's only quarter of a second.
Quarter of a second, but still, it makes it so that you cannot react, or that you can react to it, as opposed to before when it was instant. But again, really strong counter to Kindred regardless. Kindred drops his ultimate, or her ultimate rather, and Gragas throws his in, scatters the enemy team, and then they're able to pick off whatever weak targets are low. So direct counter there. I'm excited to see what Hear Me Roar is able to do.
Yeah, and that is something that was nice of you to point out. Don't forget there's also the Syndra Skyre of the Week that could easily knock people away, as well as the overall general threat of the teamfight and presence of McAllister right now is far more threatening than the side of the Chicken Chasers, where they more have a split push style team or kind of like a pick style team where they really want to go for one person at a time rather than a full 5-on-5 team fight.
But my God, can they pull it off? I mean, looking at the Urgot, looking at the Ahri and the Camille, with Thresh to top it off, if any members, and I mean, these are fairly squishy members with the Syndra, Caitlyn, Karma. If they're able to catch any of those out of position, they're going to die pretty quickly.
Yeah, the big question here is whether or not they can have Stwide there with the ultimate to try and keep them alive. Now, early game Shen's ultimate is kind of negligible. It's only 250 shield. But the later on the game goes, it's going to be far more impactful, especially if you use it on someone that's going to be naturally tankier, such as Gragas with Hear Me Roar, or even second it up with a Karma shield. That's one thing you also have to remember. McAllister could easily just stay grouped up to make it so that they never give a chance for Chicken Chasers to go for that pick style of play.
And also, they do have the Shen, meaning that any member that is starting to get picked off, Shen can easily just ult on to them. Stand United being a great tool to kind of buffer the mistakes made by some of these players that, yeah, they might get caught out, but now that catch becomes a team fight that potentially Chicken Chasers weren't ready for if there's not a full commitment from all members of their team. So I'm curious to see what each team is able to do. But overall, we've talked a little bit about the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. Which team do you think had the stronger pick and ban?
Well, I've already stated who I think is a stronger pick and ban. It's going to be going over to McAllister just because I prefer the whole team fight style, especially in competitive scene. A pick comp can easily work in solo queue, but when you're going for a nice communication style of play, you can just tell your allies, don't be alone, and then you'll stay alive. And that's pretty easy to follow suit, especially when you can have the Mantra Defiance from Karma keeping people close together with a very large shield, the Stand United. You also have the Explosive Cast to knock people away. It's just going to be very difficult to pull off this pick style. What do you think, though?
I am going to agree. I think that they have really strong solo lanes. I think that Shen into Camille is pretty negligible. Camille can't do a great job of pushing Shen out if Shen's able to get either Bami's Cinder or even Tiamat if he's trying to go for a more aggressive build. He can keep those waves pushed into Camille so that he's never really under his own turret. And even if he is, he's tanky enough that it's going to be difficult for them to dive. Yes, they have Kindred's ultimate, but that's going to be a lot of resources burned just to pick up a kill. And in the meantime, these other lanes are looking really strong. Caitlyn into Urgot, she's going to have a great time being able to poke him down. And then also these junglers, Gragas being, in my opinion, a direct counter to the Kindred. So again, I got to give it to McAllister, but I like what the Chicken Chasers had the guts to do, pulling out something new and something fresh here that none of us were expecting, I think.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting the Urgot at all. Maybe if Chicken Chasers were scrimming against some of the teams, they were showing off the Urgots and it simply wasn't known. Or, who knows, it could have been a misclick. I don't really freaking know.
There are no misclicks in Minnesota LCS. As we have the Battlecast Urgot, is that the name of that skin? I didn't quite catch it. Yep. Giant enemy crab gods on sale right now, for anybody wondering. I am planning on picking it up personally.
I'm not a huge fan of Urgot skins. I prefer my nice little Thresh and Nami. Those are my two favorite supports.
You try hard. Come on.
What? They're fun. But we can see that it looks like the Chicken Chasers are wanting to go for a full invade here, having it where they'll potentially be using the Thresh to get onto the Condor.
Get caught out. There is the death sentence, meaning that first blood is picked up as there's a quick 5-man invade from the Chicken Chasers. First blood going to Zyax.
Yeah, and the Condor really had two options there. He could have tried to flash the hook, or he could have simply healed and flashed after the hook already landed to attempt to survive afterwards. It looks like he decided to just simply eat it, and I can respect that, to be honest, because getting the first blood isn't too demeaning. In all honesty, you could easily just keep it aside, and I think having the flash heal for lane presence is far more important, especially when you're against someone such as Urgot and Thresh, who have a decent range of impact. And if Urgot is able to land his E on you, you need to get out of range as soon as possible, since every single Q following up is going to be an auto lock-on.
Yeah, I think the argument for using those summoner spells would have been if there's a potential of Urgot getting that first blood. Your lane opponent getting the first early item power spike can really mean that lane is pretty much done, so maybe it's worth it to not have sums, as opposed to Urgot coming in with an extra, maybe Ruby Crystal, moving towards that Black Cleaver. But also Urgot, very mana reliant, needing to get that tier early as well, means that Caitlyn can typically out-bully him in the early game, because he's not going to want to use too many abilities too soon.
Yeah, and I'm actually really happy though that the kill ended up going to Zyax, just because we can see that he has both the Machete and the Talisman, which means that his early clear on Kindred is going to be far healthier and faster, which Kindred's early clear in the first place is already not too fast, so being able to make it that much faster and that much safer is going to guarantee you easier time getting those early stacks and potential quicker gank towards one of your lanes.
That is true, and now looking a little bit at these builds, we're seeing Gavin actually opting for the longsword as opposed to Doran's Blade, whereas Caitlyn picking up the Doran's Blade. I like to bring this up every game because it's something that a lot of players don't really respect that much. Taking the longsword early means that you get into your build so much quicker, as well as having an extra 2 potions in lane, giving that extra sustain. Yeah, you don't get the on-hit healing from Doran's Blade, but the potions do more in the end. But you do have less health, and you have just minuscule more damage coming out. So Doran's Blade better for efficiency-wise, but Longsword just gets you into your build faster, and you don't have to sell an item later in the game as well, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I can really understand that, and
junglers both on the bot side. Hear Me Roar coming in, flayed away, but it still lands. A lot of damage onto Boych Wonder, but can he get out? As Zyax is here for backup. Flash from Hear Me Roar, flash from Lakondor. Good thing he still has it available, but Zyax goes in, flashes from everybody, and no kills picked up. And in the end, it's actually advantageous for the side of McAllister, as Formic Nightfall did not burn any summoner spells. Game has been paused, though. Maybe something during that gank didn't feel right. Maybe there were some connection issues. We're going to try to get it fixed up. There was a player that DC'd.
Yeah, and it looks like it should only be a little bit until they return. Until then, let's talk about that whole gank and talk about that whole longsword mentioning that you did earlier. Now, it ended up being 3 flashes for 1 and a heal, which obviously having the 3 flashes gone is far more impactful than 1 flash and a heal, especially since one of those flashes is on Thresh. And Thresh with a flash is a massive engage potential that you are now gone with for the next, well, assuming Thresh went with the cooldown reduction. Let me just double check for summoner spells. Yeah, he did. So it's only for the next 4 minutes and 15 seconds rather than a total 5-minute cooldown. But either way, it's still incredibly impactful.
And something I'm noticing here, I'm not sure if I've ever seen this before, but the cooldown timer for Flash was actually going down as we were paused. I don't know if that was a visual glitch on my end, because I don't think that's supposed to happen. But good points there. Thresh having a lot less ability to roam mid specifically. Thresh very strong after that first bag, heading mid with that flash tool available, meaning that he can really help out mid lane, get some kind of advantage, either burn flash from Syndra or even get a kill for Ahri. That's not really an option for him as much now, but he still goes in as the charm is missed from Boosted. Hook misses from Boych Wonder, and another flash blown from the Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, I think that was only a visual glitch, and again, another flash blown from Boosted this time around, which having the flash pre-6 is going to be a massive...
Slide taking a lot of damage, but it might be a bait as Hear Me Roar is coming in. There's no mana from Kitty Robo, but he flashes in, but he can't get the damage. His blocks flash from Swide means that Kitty Robo goes down to Hear Me Roar. And finally, they answer a kill, but give one right back in the mid lane because Boych Wonder just refuses to leave No Boots alone. Or no suits. Sorry, I was told the correct enunciation is the Germanic way. That is an S set, not a B. So no suits.
Oh, okay. And that Spirit Refuge from Swide was absolutely perfect. They ended up keeping him alive just long enough to where he could get the flash out, get out of range from Kitty Robot, and allow Hear Me Roar to finish him off. So he ended up surviving the all-in, being able to turn around completely, and the wave of pushing in towards him, he does have to burn teleport for it now, but in all honesty, he's not missing too much experience from, or in comparison to Kitty Robot.
Yeah, burns teleport, but Kitty Robot also burning teleport, instead deciding to roam mid. Getting some vision, not only there, but seeing where the junglers are. And here's coming in, misses the stun, gets the slow. How much do they want to commit to this? As Ix is there, taking some turret shots. Get to back off, and there's the death sentence onto Lakondor. But can he get away? He does. Jumps with net under turret. Answers a little bit of that trade. A lot of action going on, but not much being picked up from either team.
Yeah, the thing to remember is that with Boych Wonder going down, he no longer has any potions to try and sustain, so he'll be staying fairly low. And I'm just gonna double check. I don't remember if the Condor has Warlord's Bloodlust or if he has Fervor of Battle. I cannot remember, and it's not letting me check.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't have that fancy new client, but we do have a fancy fight here as No Suits has the Sandy United coming down. Boych Wonder still wanted in as he lands death sentence, but pays with his life. 4 members on 2 now. Gavin 97 going to be going down as well. That is 2 dead from Chicken Chasers, and it looks to be a dragon picked up as well on the side of McAllister.
Yeah, and if that Infernal Dragon goes over, that's going to be massive just because you have a Caitlyn and a Syndra who both scale incredibly well with straight up AD. And it looks like
Zyx jumps over the wall. He's in the dragon pit looking for the steal. Can he get Hear Me Roar down? Hear Me Roar taking a lot of damage. He actually gets a smite steal. Does not have flash available though and dies. In the meantime, Boosted does not have enough mana to take this fight. That's gotta be frustrating.
Yeah, but getting that Dragon Steel was absolutely perfect for the Chicken Chasers. They're only down 300 gold and 1 kill. No turrets have yet to go down this game. And in all honesty, you just made the side of McAllister waste so much time at that Dragon Pit.
Yeah, it's basically a long leash for the Chicken Chasers, so they will definitely take that in their favor. And what do they need to do to come back? Because it seemed as if McAllister was doing a really good job controlling the tempo. They were actually the ones making those picks that we expected Chicken Chasers to make, but Chicken Chasers responding so quickly.
Yeah, they're being more, or the Chicken Chasers specifically are being far more reactive at the start of this game as compared to proactive, which in all honesty, with their composition, they should be the proactive ones. And I'm a little disappointed from both sides in terms of letting their junglers farm. We can see that both junglers are at the same exact level as the bot lane. In all honesty, you want the Lamb's Respite. You want the explosive cast to come into the game as soon as possible. You can see they are now level 6, and it looks like Kitty Robot may have DC'd again.
It does appear to be another disconnect. That is a kill going to Swide. Let's see if we have a pause. Yep, he has left the game. I expect to see the pause coming out here. And that looks to be... Oh, no, just...
No, they're not pausing.
Okay, reconnect. He's back in. He's got this. You know, he gifted a kill. He said, Swide, you know what? You need this.
No,
I already have Sheen.
It's really sad that that actually happened. In all
It
honesty,
is
Swide
unfortunate.
should have noticed.
Zayax getting engaged by Swide. Swide going in.
Zayax still has the Lamb's Despite, so he should be safe. However,
But
Boosted is not.
Instant deletion.
Whew. So that was the Flash Body Slam coming from Hear Me Roar, followed up with the Unleashed Power by Suits, or no Suits actually.
Yeah, don't get the name wrong. He's no Suits.
I mean, I prefer Suits.
Yeah.
They're far more classy.
True. Really stuffy though.
Ooh, but right now we can see that there are 3 members of MNLCS heading up towards that top lane, just looking like they're actually going for vision over in the topside jungle. Seeing if they can find a blue, and now they're trying to go for an engage in the bot lane.
Engage lands onto Formic. Nightfall, he's going to be going down. Gavin picks up that kill. Ultimate's blown. Gavin doing a really good job of getting Formic Nightfall so far down the lane. The death sentence into ultimate from Gavin. Really hard to deal with when you're squishy support. Now Lakondor taking a lot of damage. No Suits and Zayax are fighting a little bit in this bottom jungle. Not much happening, and both decide to back off.
Yeah, and I'm just want to talk about this real quick, just as a little point for the people out there trying to learn when to back. Right now, Boych Wonder decided to try and stay in lane to absorb some of the experience and get some of the gold. In all honesty, he has enough gold to go back and get either Ninja Tab by or even any other boots such as Boots of Mobility, Boots of Swiftness, the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. You do not need more gold, you do not need more experience as a support. Let Gavin get that solo experience, you back, and you get yourself as healthy as possible really fast so you can get back to lane and be able to be impactful. Because right now with how little health you're at, you are not an impact at all and you're simply wasting your time.
On the flip side, I understand the points you're making, absolutely, and I do agree to an extent, but it also is something to be said that they were able to push the wave under turret and denied Lakondor a little bit of farm. Not that much, so it still wasn't worth it, but I think that that's what they were trying to do. Boych Wonder saying, look, my Flay can help clear so that Gavin 97 can push it under lane, deny Lakondor some of that farm. Didn't quite work that well, so I do agree it would have been better to just back, especially since he decided to go for that pink ward instead of helping clear the rest of the wave. So you really just got to commit to it, or like you said, back and buy those items. But I see what he was trying to do. Again, it's just a question of, was it worth it in the moment? Sometimes you can get that push really quickly, but this early in the game with this few items, it's really hard to push these waves that fast. But in the meantime, a lot of engagement going on in the mid lane. No Suits trying to battle 1v2 against Zayax, and Boosted is able to kind of bait some summoner spells, gets the ignite, and doesn't blow his own flash. So he's still relatively safe, but does blow his ultimate. There's a flash in from Boosted, and the Shen stand united means that he will survive. Boosted actually goes down to No Suits. Really smart ultimate from Swide.
Yeah, and that's where you simply have to remember as Boosted that there is that Stand United available. You have to try and track that timer as if it were flash or
the death
teleport.
sentence lands on the Formic Nightfall. He read the juke, and this means that there's a lot of damage going in. Flash from Gavin 97 means that he might be going. Oh! The explosive cast I thought knocked him away, but it was actually just the lantern. I was gonna say that was the biggest explosive cast I've seen in my life.
Yeah, no, the explosive cast actually missed because Gavin got caught onto a trap, and it looks like Boych and Gavin are going to be shoving in this wave, potentially going around to either prep for Dragon. It is going to be a Ocean Dragon. So this would be quite well in terms of giving extra link sustain to your allies early on, as well as improving your potential siege or denial of siege, which, looking back
Kitty
inside
Robot cannot duel Swide 1v1 right now. This is what we were talking about. Camille, being that duelist top laner, still losing to the Shen that is 2-0-3 with a completed Sunfire Cape. You're just not going to do any damage to that at this point in the game. No Suits actually going for a full in onto Boosted, who's caught a little bit out as Hear Me Roar's coming in from behind. Do they even need the help? No Suits picks up the solo kill. And Boosted living up to his name. In the meantime, ultimate coming in from the top side. Kitty Robot still trying to fight Swide and actually getting a little bit ahead, but burns Flash. Getting real greedy there.
Yeah, but now we can see that because of that extra aggression, you are allowing the side MNLCS to pick up this Ocean Dragon. which, as we mentioned before, Ocean Dragon will really help in terms of adding siege potential. And McAllister already has a lot of siege and split push in Stwide and the Condor. So, in all honesty, it was a horrible mistake to give up that Ocean Dragon.
Yeah, not much, unfortunately, Chicken Chasers could do to really contest it. They could have sent Zyx in for the Miracle Steal again, but how many times are you going to try to make that same play, especially at this point in the game? Yes, Zyx has his ultimate, but it was on cooldown, so he didn't feel as safe jumping over the wall, trying to steal Dragon this time. And if you give up a free kill mid lane, you just got to understand that the other team is going to be looking to win this game. This isn't a solo queue game. They're communicating. They're saying, what's the objective we can take? We just got to kill. Now what do we do? Let's go drag.
Yeah, and now they're going to be actually taking the mid tower. That's going to be the first tower of the game going over to the Chicken Chasers, which is really interesting because Boosted is quite a bit behind from Noob Suits. It's currently a 700 gold difference as well as a few kills and a lot of farm. So it's really interesting to see how, despite that, he was still able to pick up the first tower.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just his persistence in lane. No Suits, we've seen roaming a lot. We've seen No Suits in the Dragon Pit twice now, but I'll actually get back to that as Boosted. Getting engaged upon by No Suits. There's the flash over the wall, but no Ignite to follow up means that Boosted is able to get away safely. Hear Me Roar might be getting caught out a little bit here. Chicken Chasers really trying to show their dominance here. As Death's Sentence lands onto Formic Nightfall. No follow-up, though. I believe that is wise.
Yeah, with Hear Me Roar and Lake Condor nearby, you really don't want to try and go in on that. You can easily be countered. There's also the explosive cast that could easily knock you away, or the rest of your team into that fight. That would really be undesirable.
Plus, Stand United coming from Stwide in the top lane means that it wasn't actually a 3v3, but a 4v3. And this is what we're talking about. When the enemy team has a Shen, some of these picks aren't actually picks because a 3v2 situation that you think is an easy cleanup suddenly becomes a long fight that can let other laners get in. As we see Zyx actually taking a lot of poke. Boosted and him can't hold this mid lane from the Syndra.
Yeah, and now it should be going down as long as both Syndra and Hear Me Roar decide to very hard pressure this tower. And as you mentioned before, Stwide always does have that Stand United ready to go join his team. And part of that, you need Kitty Robots to... Oh, never mind.
It's on to Lakondor. Do we see Stand United coming down? There it is. There's the shields from both members. Lakondor survives. This is exactly what we were talking about. They can't get the damage in as Gavin97 is able to get away with the Lantern. And there are two other members of McAllister on the backline. Gavin doesn't have a summoner spell to save his life as both bot laners fall.
Yeah, and that was a roam that honestly should have been able to get called out by the rest of their team. And now it's just going to be giving up this bot lane turret. They have 4 members there to try and take it. And it looks like Boosted and Zyx are going to be trying to pressure the mid tower while Kitty Robot decides to pressure the top tower instead. I don't think this tier 2 mid tower is going to be going down, but the outer tier 1 for top definitely will.
Yeah, and I do also like what Zyx is doing. He's saying, all right, I see Hear Me Roar bot side. Let's pick up his top lane jungle. Because there is nothing for Hear Me Roar to pick up on the bottom side jungle. On the Chicken Chasers blue side. So Zyx, even though they lost those 2 members bot and they lost the turret, they answer with the turret top and an entire jungle clear, which is almost worth the 2 kills and how much gold you get.
Except for the fact that there's still going to be a lot of time wasted and gold.
Ooh, and 2 members on this Stwide. This is the member you can catch out, as there is no Stand United to save his life. He can dash away, however. Still very tanky with a lot of mobility. Really hard to assassinate a Shen unless you have a large amount of CC.
Or you just need a lot of penetration items, which in all honesty, neither Zyx or Gavin are going to be building those anytime soon. And actually, just to touch on this, what you thought was going to be a Black Cleaver coming in from Gavin is actually a Yomu's Ghostblade with the more mana. So he's not going for a hard, kind of not penetration, but a removal of armor build. He's going for more a selfish build.
Yeah, and I see, I mean, Urgot already has Armor Shred in his kit to begin with, but the Black Cleaver builds so well into him. He's kind of a, for lack of a better name, a tank 80 carry. I mean, he's not a pure tank, but he does build tanky, but now they're getting caught out as they have no turret to fall back on. With 4 members of McAllister jumping onto the bot side, Boych says, run, fly, you fools, I will hold them up. But it looks as if both members are going to be going down. Gavin actually able to lantern away. No one stopped Boych. The Condor does pick up that kill finally. Gavin, no ultimate available, flashes away. Explosive cast is too late. That's what we were talking about. The cast time is not as fast, and now Kitty Robot was able to get down onto the bot side. Can he 1v2? Can no suits go down? He does. Gavin picks up that kill. Stand United finally coming down, but now it's a 2v4, and it doesn't look as if it's going to be going well for their favor, but now finally, Kitty Robot goes down, so I jump onto the backside, and it's finally turning around for McAllister. This is an insane fight. I thought it was going to go poorly, but Stand United saves them yet again. Stwide really showing up this game.
Yeah, and you can see it in the scores. A 307 Stwide.
They're not done. They want boosted 420. Okay, maybe not. Flash in! The charm lands! Boosted, picking up another kill. He was mad I made that boosted joke earlier. He's like, come on, Sir Butt Kick. Don't be like that.
Yeah, and we can see now that they're going to be using this time, especially with the death on Hear Me Roar, to potentially be pressuring this Infernal Dragon.
Oh, but now Lakondor and Formic Nightfall are there. Can he assassinate Lakondor fast enough? And unfortunately, proving his name right again.
Really?
I knew I was right.
Really? That is petty, my friend. Come on.
But he does stick around a little longer, trying to clear out some of those traps, which aren't that necessary to clear out, in all honesty. You can just kind of leave them there if there's no objectives to take. So definitely overstaying his welcome without many wards in the enemy jungle.
Ooh, but now we can see the Infernal Dragon is going to be started up here by McAllister. Can Zyok steal it again? If he can, that's going to be massive for his team, but it looks like it
Smite is up instead. The enemy team tries to go in. He tries to get close to get that Smite, flashes the wall, Flay lands on the nobody, explosive cast, and no one stops the ace in the hole. Lakondor picking up that long range kill onto Zyx, and McAllister wants blood. They do not want to let Boych Wonder get away. In the meantime, though, Kitty Robot on the top side, can he actually still duel? It's fine. Boosted 420. Showing what he can do on this champion. He keeps making these small mistakes and then showing up huge again later. But again, Stwide is just too fed on Shen in the top lane. Kitty Robot can't really do much about him.
Yeah, the best thing right now is just going to be simply trying to split away from the Shen and using your faster clear speed to your advantage. Right now, Kitty Robot should be able to take down towers faster just because you have that Tiamat, you have the Trinity Force. Meanwhile, Stwide has mostly tanky items and a soon-to-be Titanic Hydra, which will help in the push, but not as much as a Trinity Force would. So, honestly, Kitty Robot should be using that to his advantage. He just simply isn't opting into it.
And at some point, someone on the side of Chicken Chasers has got to get Black Cleaver, whether it's Kitty Robot, Zyx, or Gavin. They gotta shred that armor of Shen. He's so tanky with only Ninja Tabby and the Sunfire Cape giving him armor, but he's surviving so much damage in these fights. Shredding some of that armor will really help them out. Who do you think would be the best to pick up that Black Cleaver?
Definitely Zyx, just because Zyx, with his Dancing Arrows as well as the Ruin's Hurricane, is going to be able to spread out the Black Cleaver stacks as fast as possible.
But Baron, there is the charm landing on Hear Me Roar. Stand United is there. Shen is coming in. Stwide saying, peekaboo, I'm here too, guys. Oh! Not even care. Death Sentence lands, but the charm misses. Lands onto No Suits, who's very low, has to back away. Karma shields keep him alive, and these Death Sentences cannot miss their targets. Stwide getting caught out by all 5 members, while Boych Wonder trying to get onto the backside. Get the CC. Hear Me Roar! Gets caught by the ultimate from Gavin. This is what the Chicken Chasers needed. They kept losing these fights. They kept losing these picks, but they are coming back huge.
Yeah, and that was a very well thought out hyperkinetic position reverser from Gavin just to make it so that he could catch out Hear Me Roar before using the blast gun to escape. which with his death is going to guarantee this Baron over to the Chicken Chasers as long as Zyax doesn't miss his smite. But it looks like the Baron will actually be going down before anyone from McAllister can even reach it.
Yeah, we're not going to see the legendary Karma support Baron steal. I know we all wanted it.
You know what's even more impressive?
What?
I would really want to see a steal of a Caitlyn Caliburnets.
That would be a new one.
Yeah. Use it to escape and steal the Baron.
Ooh, that's mechanics right there. That's La Condor special, as they call it. And we're seeing that Zyax, we were talking about, Black Cleaver needs to be built. Well, they put it on Gavin. Zyax instead getting Hex Drinker, signaling he's more afraid of the Syndra than he is the Shen.
Yeah, I can also see the reason why putting it on Gavin, because he'd be much safer at placing it on the other enemies. Plus, the Phage passive simply stacks so well, or synergizes so well with Urgot. So
yeah, it's
going to
be a fast-moving crab in those team fights, that's for sure.
Yeah, but we still have yet to see a team fight with this Black Cleaver picked up. They do have the Baron in their favor, so they'll be much more powerful in these team fights, as well as during these sieges, which it looks like they're going to be trying to do in this mid and bot lane. But they need to send Kitty Robot over to the top lane at the very least to answer Stride. And as we saw before, Kitty Robot really doesn't have much to answer Stride with. At most, he can just wave clear.
Ooh, La Condor taking so much damage actually goes down to Gavin. That's why you pick Urgot, ladies and gentlemen, as Hear Me Roar, Stand United might save his life, but it's actually canceled by Kitty Robot. Landing the CC onto Stride means that he cannot get to that team fight. It is now a 4v3 on the bot side. Those Baron-empowered minions are really going to be pushing that turret.
Yeah, and they'll be able to take down this tier 2 turret. And there's really going to be no contest unless if No Suits can somehow pull off a magical defense. It looks like he will not, and they will now have to be defending.
Oh, Sentence lands again, and a deletion onto Formic Nightfall. Deutsch Wonder. Stop it! What are you doing right now? And also, a really good ultimate from Gavin97 means that this is going to be maybe 2 turrets showing up. Kitty Robot doing his best to distract Stride so he can't even TP to join the team. And Stride, you gotta leave top lane, man. Your team cannot defend that bottom inhibitor. And it is picked up for the side of the Chicken Chasers.
Yeah, and with that inhibitor picked up, that means that they're going to be having a lot of pressure down towards the bot lane. Granted, it'd be much better to have a top lane inhibitor since Dragon is about to be up and you're going to want the pressure in a lane away from Dragon, especially with it being another Infernal Dragon.
However, keep in mind, having the lane pushed on the Dragon side means it's safer to get vision around that area, as well as just play around the enemy jungle to begin with. You can see that no one is on the bot side lane. If you have the vision in their jungle and see that no one's in their jungle, that's going to be a very safe Dragon to pick.
That's a fair point, but it doesn't even look like the Chicken Chasers are taking the opportunity to get the vision down. They're just simply burning the Dragon as fast as possible and running with their lives.
Ooh, that is a second Infernal Drake picked up. Yes, there is one answered, but in the meantime, Boosted trying to fight and to Stand United from Stride. He thought that La Condor was going to get assassinated there, so he tried to give him as much shield as possible, which scared Boosted away, but kind of funny. A little comical how close they were to begin with. A dash over the wall might have done a similar thing. And unfortunately, McAllister, they look a little out of sorts right now. They had such a lead at the beginning, especially when it came to top lane and mid lane. They both had such kill advantages, gold advantages than their lane opponents, but they kept losing these turrets. They kept losing these objectives when they really had no reason to. They just weren't playing the map correctly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've been seeing kind of trouble a lot of teams, is they know how to fight, they know how to get kills, they know how to win the early game, but they never know how to close out an actual match. And now we can see that Kitty Robot with the Trinity Force and Ravenous Hydra is starting to actually get some damage onto Stride, just because they have that extra regeneration and healing coming in. And now Boosted is here as well to try and answer. I don't think they'll really be able to get anything, especially because all of McAllister is grouped up near this top lane, aside from No Suits, and barely any members of the Chicken Chasers are here to respond.
But once No Suits shows on bot side, this means that now Chicken Chasers see that he's not in the fight. No TP on the mid laner. No gap closers to get him back into the lanes quicker means that this is a very safe push on top and mid. They're going to get some other turret here. They actually dive, slide under turret. So much damage coming in. He has no magic resist to stop Boosted. And that's exactly who picks up the kill. As that death sentence lands on the Hear Me Roar, they don't want to get much more for it. This is a 2v3. This might be what McAllister needs to get back into this. But Gavin doing so much damage, picking up so much, getting not only one kill, but soon to be two, maybe even a third. And there is the triple kill for Gavin 97. And in the meantime, Boosted picking up a kill on the No Suits. Didn't even see that happen. Game is falling apart for McAllister, and Chicken Chasers looking dominant right now.
Yeah, and actually that should be the end of the game. That is a full ace with 20 seconds left before the next person is going to be spawning in. And 3 minions are already knocking on the door. That is going to be GG's all around. And that will be game 1 going over to the Chicken Chasers, who had an excellent showing in the later stages of the game, just with a bit of struggle towards the early parts.
Yeah, I mean, they showed that their individual lanes could win. The only one that was a little more even was bot side Lacondor being behind Gavin 97 in CS for most of the game. But that was made up for Stride in the top lane and No Suits in the mid lane doing a really good job. Stride having very, very clutch ultimates. That Stand United saving the team more than one time. But in the end, they just really couldn't translate that lead into the late game.
Yeah, and part of that big issue was they allowed that pick composition of the Chicken Chasers to really work out. They never really grouped up too heavy, and especially towards the end when they let Stride get picked up by Boosted and Kitty Robot together, it just meant complete death for their main tank, who had most of the kills and most of the assists.
Yeah, again, being that main tank, but with 0 MR, made it pretty difficult for him to deal with Ahri, who already had a death cap as the second item built. That's a strong Ahri at that point. And we saw Boosted making a lot of those mistakes, getting caught out, but also showing up big and showing that he has a questionable plays, but he can really show up when it's necessary. He can make those assassinations and really help out the team come back from a deficit, especially with him and Zyx being able to pick up that Dragon Steel earlier.
Yeah, but the thing I'm really surprised with is how well Gavin 97 was able to pull off the Urgot. He had the highest damage in the game as well as one of the best KDAs and also a lot of farm. That was a 30-minute game when he had 247 farm, just roughly 6 per minute, or yeah, 60 for every, wait no, 6 for every minute. I almost said that wrong. I almost said 60 a minute. That'd be far more.
That would be a lot of farm.
Yeah.
1 farm per second.
But I would say, despite having the Urgot pick, he really showed up on it, and I would gladly like to give him the player of the game.
Absolutely, could not agree more. Although I also do want to just point out how well Boych Wonder played. He was performing a little questionable in the early game when he and Gavin together kept getting caught out, but he really, even when they were getting caught out, making the correct plays, being able to sneak away and save Gavin's life with that lantern when it was 4v2 in the bot side at about 20 minutes into the game. I mean, that was incredible. I can't applaud him enough for that, as well as landing every single death sentence in the later stages of the game. Really helped snowball the team. So I'm giving it to Gavin 97 too, but Boych Wonder, you're my boy. Keep up the good work.
All right, and that will be doing it for game number 1 over here, folks. Come join us for game number 2 in just a few minutes. It is going to be St. Olaf versus the CSS Fighting Saints. We'll be seeing you in just about 5 minutes. And thank you very much for watching game number 1. All right, and we are back with game number 2. We are just getting ready, and it is going to be Winona versus CSS Proper Dogs. Right now, we have it where Sir Buckkick is just going to be joining us in a few seconds. He is out in the bathroom. For now, we have it where the CSS Proper Dogs are going to be having a standing of 2 and 4, while Winona is over at 2 and 3. So both of these teams are on the lower end of the brackets, and they honestly need to try and really compete against one another to make sure that they can get into the playoffs. They're right at that 8th and 9th seed spot. So if Winona is able to win this game, they'll end up being just slightly higher in terms of win rates than the side of CSS Proper Dogs. Meanwhile, the Proper Dogs need to win this game as well to try and keep themselves in that playoff spot that they are just barely grabbing onto.
Yeah, and talking about them, they are so close in the standings right now that this is going to be a really interesting game to watch to see how they differentiate themselves from each other. Because a lot of times when we see teams that have similar standings, they have similar play styles as well. Either they're strong in the early game and weaker in the late game, or they're weak in the early game and just haven't had a chance to get to the late game to show where they are strong. So when it's these two teams playing against each other, I'm excited to see what they're able to do in terms of competing with each other.
Yeah, and I actually really like the point you brought up about like how one team can be strong in the early game, weak in the late game, and the other one can be vice versa, because that is exactly what we saw in the last game with the Chicken Chasers versus McAllister. Now, this time around, from what I can remember, the Pepper Dogs have a pretty strong early and mid game, and their main issue usually is draft, where they play those champions that simply fall off really hard. And it makes it so that if they don't close out the game fast enough, they can never really climb back. And I'm hoping to see a bit of a change in that. Meanwhile, it looks like most of the teams are actually already ready, so maybe we can get into the Champion Select real soon.
Yeah, hopefully the earlier we can get in means the earlier that the action starts and the earlier we all get to be entertained for the evening. Game 2 of our Week 8 Minnesota LCS, Winona State against Pupper Dogs. Keep in mind, this is Pupper Dogs' first game of the evening. They still have another one right after this. So even though we don't play best of threes, this is kind of close to that for their team. They're going to have some endurance here.
Yeah, or it may even be that the first game is more like a warm-up session for them, and then game number 2, they'll be having a much better showing. However, we are now in the pick ban phase, and let's see what ban number 1 for the side of Winona is going to be.
It is Elise taken off the table. Very strong control jungler, really early invade potential, as well as just incredible strength up to level 6, where most junglers receive their power spike. She's strong level 3. Hecarim banned against her. Actually, another champion that can be known for those engage earlier ganks, as well as some invade fighting in the jungle. So a lot of jungles being banned out from both of these games that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and I'm imagining we'll be seeing another Graves ban.
Oh, okay. There he is.
Immediately.
How do you do it, Don? How do you do it?
And now we're going to see a Victor ban.
Oh, close. I mean, it's another guy that tinkers with technology.
It's
Close
a mid
enough.
laner.
True.
And the main reason why I was saying this is because Funky B has excellent showings on both Echo and Victor, so that's why I was expecting a Victor ban. Just because I think Echo is a little more tolerable when you're on the enemy team.
Keep in mind, though, Funky B has popped off multiple times on that champion, earning himself the nickname Baby Caps, as Baby Caps has been called Baby Faker. For anyone who doesn't follow European LCS, Caps is the mid laner for Fnatic. They're not doing great now, but they're on the upswing. Don't worry about it. In the meantime, though, Fiora... This isn't EU LCS. This is Minnesota LCS, and Fiora banned out, and then the Thresh.
Okay, so that's definitely a target ban. Yeah, we saw Thresh last game, which means that it's obviously a target ban over to Get Sleeps, because the Thresh did play well, but it was a lot more of a player performance where Thresh isn't exactly a simple champion to always play. And Get Sleeps, I believe, has shown that he's good on those hook-style champions such as Blitzcrank and Thresh before, and we can see that the first pick for Winona is going to be Vi, locked in for Peter.
Yeah, Peter, come on. Let's call him what he is.
Sorry.
Peter showing up on Vi, however, and there's the Lulu that we were talking about so much. Really, really strong right now as that support pick. Good shielding, good enhanced damage output for your team, as well as that ultimate makes it virtually impossible to assassinate any squishy members on the side of the Pupper Dogs. So I really like what they picked up. One of the most meta AD carries and supports.
Yeah, the only thing I'm not too happy about, though, is that they don't exactly synergize too well with each other. Lulu is far more peel-oriented, while Caitlyn is more siege and poke-oriented. And that doesn't mix entirely unless if you're building Lulu for a poke style with something such as Thunderlord's Decree and Ignite, which that may be what the plan here is with the Updog, but I think I would prefer seeing something such as a Vayne, Kog'Maw, or a Twitch to be paired up with the Lulu just because it scales far more heavily, and we can see that the Janna is going to be busted out to try and counter that Lulu pick.
Both of them considered incredibly high peel supports. Both of their ultimates basically ensuring that their AD carries are safe. But now we're seeing that Lucian picked up. Hopefully, we can see that Bork build into the Black Cleaver, or even more spicy, that crit build. It takes a little longer, as we were talking, to reach a power spike. But it's showing that it can be really strong, especially paired with Janna. Her shield also giving him bonus damage on hit makes them a really strong lane partner.
Yeah, and especially if you go that crit build, since it's a flat AD that Janna Shield gives, the AD is also going to be scaling with that crit. And now we can see that a Gangplank is going to be hovered in the top lane. That would be a very powerful pick against this Nautilus if it is locked in, just because as Gangplank scales later into the game, he's going to have his barrels to decimate the armor on that Nautilus.
Yeah, and now Syndra, this might be the exact same mid lane that we just saw in the last game. Ahri versus Syndra, both really strong picks. Syndra is locked in. What is going to be answered now from Pupper Dogs? They have yet to lock in their jungle. An odd choice for a last pick, but it is Rek'Sai picked up. How do we feel about the Rek'Sai pick?
I actually really like that. I love Rek'Sai in competitive just because the amount of information that is given through Rek'Sai is incredibly powerful. You have the Tremor Sense to make it so you can get a wide range of vision. You don't necessarily see who you're sensing, but you know someone's there, so you can easily scout people out.
Very true. Similar in a way to the Rengar pick. A lot of people taking Rengar with that ultimate to be able to kind of spot out enemy junglers, or even the Warwick pick being able to spot out enemy champions. But Rek'Sai, a little tankier. Also, the Unburrow ability makes it very easy to steal objectives and just get around the map faster. His ganks, specifically on the top lane, are very strong. And we've seen this a lot in the past where Red Side will opt to take a Rek'Sai against a squishier top lane because of how easy it is to head up to the enemy's side, the blue side jungle, unburrow under that wall as Nautilus is tanking up turret and pick up a kill onto Gangplank. This is exactly what we saw, I believe, week 2. I don't exactly remember which team was playing, but we saw a very similar thing with a Maokai Rek'Sai as the Ganked by Gophers. There we go. Ganked by Gophers was able to pull that off more than a couple times. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that, which means that Akhenball 4 is going to have to play very safe, as well as Peter is going to have to kind of protect him in the top lane, put a lot of pressure up there.
Yeah, and I can actually see Peter trying to put more pressure into either the bot or mid lane, just because we saw before when the Syndra was able to pop off last game versus the Ahri, it really put in a lot of work. And also, you have to remember, Lucian is that incredibly strong early game AD carry. And if you're able to get him to snowball, he won't have to worry about the Caitlyn or the Lulu really affecting him, since he could easily just all in and demolish them.
Very true. However, looking at the scaling ability from Winona, they already have Gangplank and they already have Syndra, two very, very good scaling champs. Do they need to have their Lucian scale as well, or do they want to have him be the early game threat? I think it would be more wise to give him the Bork, give him the Black Cleaver, let him put that pressure early game as we were talking, because Caitlyn's going to take a little longer to scale. So let Lucian be able to beat her out early, maybe try to get first turret blood, roam around more, and let Syndra and Gangplank carry the late game, because that, I think, is going to be the better investment. Otherwise, they might just not have the damage output early in the game.
I would completely agree. You want the Lucian with the Blade, the Rune Cane, and the Black Cleaver just because you have the Gangplank and the Vi, who are also attack damage type of carries. And with both of them, they synergize so well with having armor shredded from the person they're already attacking that it would basically make it where you're doing near true damage with Gangplank barrels as well as Vi's W also shredding armor away from the opponents. So you have the Vi W as well as the Black Cleaver stacks onto a single target. And all the armor they build, especially if that's a Nautilus or a Rek'Sai, is going to basically be null and void.
True, and we're seeing no true tank on the side of Winona, but that doesn't really bother me that much, as only Caitlyn and Ahri are damage dealers on the side of Pupper Dogs. So they don't really need to have that much tank. Peter, if he's able to get a Spirit Visage, maybe a Dead Man's Plate, that might be enough for him to just tank up enough of the enemy team, because Lulu is going to be playing, we assume, more Peel. Maybe she'll go for more of a damaging build, but playing a lot of Peel, as well as Rek'Sai and Nautilus being more beefier champions. I really like the comp that Winona was able to pick up, except for, again, the interaction top lane. Gangplank on blue side, as weird as it sounds, way worse than Gangplank on red side.
Yeah, and that's mostly just because you can easily get that under tower diving with Rek'Sai.
And it comes out of nowhere. I mean, if you don't ward for it, it's really hard to see that coming unless you know where the enemy jungler is and you can play safe. But the problem is it happens under your own turret, which you can't really do much about to begin with.
Yeah, the best thing you could do would be leaving the turret entirely, which at that point is basically giving it up, although a Rek'Sai Nautilus together wouldn't have too much pushing power, so you wouldn't really have to worry about it that much. You could easily just use your barrels to keep yourself safe, as well as you have to remember, you do have the oranges with Gangplank to try and get rid of some of that crowd control. The only thing you won't really be able to get rid of is going to be the knockups.
True, but we are loading into this game, and looking on the side of Winona, we have Akhenbal 4 top lane, Peter jungle, Funky B in the mid lane with Fear Fracture, and Get Sleeped, classic name, in the bot lane. On the side of Pupper Dogs, we have Puff Boy top lane, Demolisher in the jungle, roaming around with Winged Cow mid lane, and the bot lane Ultimatum, or Ultimatum I, as some would call him, with the Updog support. Early game pause. Not sure what it's about. I'm sure that one of the players wasn't able to load into the game entirely. We're just waiting for them to catch up. Again, we will update you as we find out. There we go. Updog has reconnected. Now we should be able to get the game going.
Yeah, and from looking at the Keystone Masteries, it didn't look like anything was really too far out there. The tanks have the Courage of the Colossus. The supports go with Windspeaker's Blessing. We have it where there are both Thunderlord's Decree in the mid lane. Caitlyn has Warlord's Bloodlust. Lucian has Fervor of Battle. So things seem pretty typical. And the only thing I'm going to really be expecting to see possibly a little different than normal here is going to be a Longsword plus 3 pots pickup for... Oh, no, actually it's a Dorn's Blade pickup by Fear Fracture. Alright, so he wants to go with more of the flat health to make it so he can survive potential all-ins. And right away, we can see the pains coming in from the side of Winona to make that little line along the river. And it looks like the Pupper Dogs are going to be responding the same exact way.
And I mean, it's a minuscule thing. It doesn't make a huge difference having the longsword or the Doran's Blade, but it's a big enough difference that I would have liked to see the longsword, just because we were hoping that Fear Fracture would go for more of that early game build to be able to provide that damage early. If he had gotten longsword, he could have gotten his Bork earlier and just kind of gotten to that point in the game where he needed to be that much sooner than Ultimatum. So Doran's Blade, I think, is a slight misstep, but again, it's not the end of the world. I still see it working out in the end. One thing to note, Funky B taking Cleanse against Winged Cow makes a lot of sense. Not being able to get assassinated with that charm, and also looking at the rest of the team, you also have Puff Boy, who can really help against his ganks as well as Demolisher. So Cleanse can be used against multiple targets on the enemy team. That's really the reason to pick up that mastery, or sorry, that summoner spell. Is, I mean, it's nice against your lane opponent, but it can also be used in other areas of the map as well.
Oh yeah, another big thing is going to be thinking about the Lulu with the Polymorph. if you can cleanse that while you're trying to ult a target, you're basically going to be denying that crowd control, which a maxed out power morph, I believe, lasts 2.5 seconds.
I believe so as well. I'm not a Lulu main, unfortunately. I have not quite gotten on the Lulu hype train that everybody has told me about, but I'll soon join. I played the game of her in normals. It was fun. Went full on hit.
She's an incredibly fun support to play, and right now we can just go over and look in the top lane. There's already a lot of trading going on between the two.
Yeah, Puff Boy farming perfectly. Getting 6 out of 6. That's what you want as a tank. Not even level 2 yet. That's just impressive.
Yeah, and we can see that the two junglers are going for a quick rush to their... Oh no, actually we can see the Demolisher is going for a full clear, while Peter is going for a quick clear to try and make it so he can reach the top lane as soon as possible and potentially even gank for Oakenball, which we can see that Puff Boy is pushing in very hard early on, so he'll be vulnerable to a gank.
But keep in mind, Oakenball struggling to make trades back on a Puff Boy has Fear Fracture. Having the same struggle against Ultimatum, this is where we see the Caitlyn pick into the Lucian. You have so much more range, but now Peter trying to catch out Puff Boy on the top side. Oakenball's coming down, Summoner's still available, and the shield is there as well. How much can he tank? A lot is the answer. As Demolisher's also coming in, they might be looking to get something else with Winged Cow as backup, but instead, they all decide to back off. Talking about that bot lane again, though, what do you think of the Caitlyn into Lucian matchup? It's Fear Fracture and Get Sleeped. Just cannot catch a break right now.
Well, that's what we're seeing. A lot of work being put in from this Caitlyn already, just because Caitlyn outranges Lucian so much that the only way Lucian can really do anything is through an all-in, which at level 2, you have no all-in potential.
In the meantime, Peter onto Puff Boy. Ooh, the hook does not land onto the wall. He will have to burn Flash. He does, but can he actually get away? Demolisher is there again for backup, and Peter does not want it. But that is a Summoner Spell burned from Puff Boy. He was barely off, just pixels from that hook hitting the wall. That's gotta feel bad.
Yeah, he did still survive. He had to blow his flash, and with the wave pushing in towards his tower, he'll more than likely have to burn a teleport as well, and we can already see it channeling up, so that will be teleport down, and the advantage will be over towards Winona. So the issue is, though, a teleporting Gangplank over to a side lane or even mid lane isn't that useful, especially in this stage of the game where you're only going to be levels 3 through 5 until that teleport's back up.
Yeah, you don't do that much damage, and honestly, Gangplank better with the ultimate anyway. The TP is typically a tool for the late game or just to get back into lane quicker. You really don't want to lose CS. You want to scale as fast as possible so you can use your ultimate to affect the side lanes. Like you said, a level 3 teleport doesn't do much, but Oakenball might be getting caught out. There's that gank from Demolisher, flash from Oakenball. Might still make it underturn. Fear Fracture trying to all-in ultimatum. Exhaust is down, but Peter is there as well. It's a 2v3. Flash into the enemy bush. Means the ultimatum might be going down. There's the shields. Can they get anything for it? Fear Fracture wants the kill. Fear Fracture gets first blood. Very confident. Almost getting in range for ultimatum to pick up the kill onto him, but he says, I know what I'm doing. And I want first blood to snowball this lane and get myself ahead.
Yeah, the issue is that Peter really should have been pushing up that lane with Fear Fracture and Get Sleep to try and deny ultimatum as much farm as possible. Because the wave is going to be stacking him and pushing in towards him, which by the time the Fear Fracture goes to back, it's going to be just a large wave where barely any farm is going to be missed at all.
Very
so in reality, not much is going to be missed from that death.
First blood gold is awesome, but you got to understand how to control the wave and how to deny the enemy minions. In the meantime, though, Peter is making the most of this time, able to clear out his bottom jungle. Hopefully he can pressure somewhere else on the map rather than getting his bot lane ahead, because now Fear Fracture's in a rough spot. He wants to back. He's got no mana, very low health, but if he does, he's going to lose so much minion, or so much CS, as well as a lot of damage on the turret.
Yeah, and speaking of CS, I'm actually really surprised to see that Oakenball has more CS than Puff Boy right now, and because he is also Gangplank using the parley to farm up, he is gaining a lot more gold just innately through the parley passive.
Having Sheen already really strong. He started something I didn't even notice at the beginning, but starting the crystal, Sapphire Crystal, means that an early Sheen can let him kind of bully out Puffboy in a way. Something we don't see that much. A Gangplank being able to beat a Nautilus in the early game, but maybe we'll see it coming here as Peter is getting a little caught out. Demolisher has Flash available. Does he go for the Unburrow? He does not. Peter also with Flash. Doesn't want to make the Summoner Spell trade.
Yeah, more than likely just because without guaranteeing a kill, having the Flash up onto Rek'Sai is way too important. Just because of the engaged potential that it offers to a team fight. And with the potential threat of a Dragon contest coming up soon, you really want to make sure you can go for an engage if need be.
Yeah, Puffboy making those trades with Akhenball again. Akhenball trying to answer the trades by getting those long-range shots onto the Nautilus, but that just means that you're wasting mana that you could be using to get CS and kind of get your ultimate stacked up. The more you can CS with that Q, the better. Now Funky B getting exhausted, trying to go on under Wings Cow. It doesn't quite get him. That exhaust actually saving Wings Cow's life as Funky B, the ultimate doesn't quite clean up.
Yeah, and one thing I would really like to see coming in from the side of the Puffer Dogs is going to be able to utilize the difference in teleport timers between Puffboy and Oakenball. Right now you can see that Oakenball still has 2 minutes left on its teleport. Meanwhile, there's only 1 minute on Puffboy's. That gives him a 1 minute window to potentially have Puffboy teleport down to try and secure the dragon, or even teleport to the bot lane to make it so that the only way that Oakenball can really answer is through using his ultimates, which a Nautilus with his presence compared to a simple cannon barrage, pretty sure the Nautilus will be more impactful.
Very true. Having a full champion there as opposed to just the Gangplank ultimate, always going to be better. But let's look a little bit at the discrepancies right now, as First Blood happened quite a while ago. We haven't seen much since then, but we are seeing some differential in CS, especially in the mid lane. Winged Cow struggling a lot to catch up to Funky B's farm. This is what we're seeing Funky B doing incredibly well at. Either he's getting ahead by getting kills, or he's getting ahead just by out farming. I mean, being 20 CS ahead and 9 minutes in the game is just ridiculous. Looking also at the jungle though, Puffer Dog's doing a good job with Demolisher. Now on the bot side, looking for something. Doesn't quite have the opportunity, but still getting ahead in CS against his jungler Peter on the other side. Picking up some wards. And actually try to engage down on here. Can he get Fear Fracture? Updog is here as backup, has ultimate available to keep him fresh and alive. They're not going to look for much more as Peter's on the top side. Not a great idea. Puffboy, both sums available. Ultimate available. They can't get much for this.
I just realized that Peter is only level 5 while Demolisher is level 7 and still counter jungling, which means that Peter, you really have to either counter jungle back or focus on hard farming, because you're going to want that assault battery by the time that any form of actual teamfight breaks out, because you are lower level than literally everyone else in the game.
Yeah, really struggling. He's had so much of his jungle cleared by Demolisher. Puffboy actually going back into Akhenball. Does he want it though? Ultimate coming down, flash from Puffboy. Akhenball under turret. Is he gonna actually get the kill? Puffboy! Oh, so much damage from depth charge coming out, bursting Akhenball down. Akhenball very, very over aggressive right there.
Part of that was also Akhenball not realizing that since he is merely a Gangplank, he's not going to be able to tank a turret too easily. And he even flashed under that turret, making it so that he was basically guaranteed dead no matter what he did.
Yeah, just trying to pick up the kills. Unfortunately, he has not skilled enough to get the damage. Not even having Trinity Force yet makes it very difficult to make those kinds of plays solo. If Peter had been there, I think it would have worked, but trying to do that solo was a bit aggressive. Taking the flash alone would have been really convenient, putting him ahead in lane, but an aggressive play and overextension pays him the cost of a life, meaning that Puffer Dog is actually coming back here a little bit. They're evening out the gold lead, only 500 behind, but we're still seeing some discrepancies, mostly in the jungle again. Demolisher absolutely controlling it right now.
Yeah, and part of that whole jungle control is something that you have to realize. Peter cannot keep on trying these ganks the way he's been doing, because each and every single one has been failing. Yes, he's kind of making the laners back off and give up some farm, but at the same time, he's not accomplishing anything big enough.
Ball getting caught out, not flash available, no ultimate available. Demolisher and Puffboy are both on him. Ultimates available for Demolisher, but they can't quite get him. But Winged Cow is here as backup. Can Puffboy take the turret? He does, giving the kill to the mid laner from Pupper Dogs. Really smart rotation. Didn't even notice him coming up. And Funky B still getting ahead in farm, but now losing some of that side lane pressure that they were looking for.
Yeah, now we can see that there's going to be a calling going out just to try and get some wave cleared down. Most likely just to make it so that they can clear the wave as soon as possible and then back, because we can see that right now Fear Fracture has 2,000 gold in his pocket. And by pushing the wave, he also added a little bit of pressure.
Demolisher ulting in, getting caught out by 4 members. Unburrows away. Can he actually get away though? Peter getting the CC onto him, but does not have ultimate available anymore. Updog is there with the ultimate. Peter pays the price. Fear Fracture trying to get away. Flash, dash, cannot get away from this enemy team, but maybe Gift Sleep's ultimate could be enough, but not enough mana. Unfortunately means that they just got to run away through the river. And Pupper Dogs are hungry for something right now. They might still get Fear Fracture. He's very low. Exhaust finally onto Demolisher. Can he tank up the turret? Puffboy wants blood and gets it. Taking down Gets Sleeped. But Fear Fracture does escape with his life. Unfortunately, that much cannot be said for this mid lane turret.
Yeah, and with that turret going down, it's going to be First Blood Tower, and that's actually going to be giving the solo gold all over to Wayne Cow, which is going to be a massive help in trying to make it so we can catch back up with Funky B. And looking at the gold difference, we can actually see that Wayne Cow is now ahead of Funky B in gold due to those 2 kills, 1 assist that was gained from the roam over to the top lane, as well as that big fight over by the jungle.
And first turret blood does so much to help that out. Now things are looking pretty difficult for Winona, especially with their choices. We're seeing Fear Fracture going for Infinity Edge. Wants to get that late game power spike. If they can make it to the late game, this is going to be huge. It's going to be ridiculously hard for Pupper Dogs to deal with a late game Lucian with crit, as well as the Gangplank and Syndra. But first, you got to get there. I mean, it's 13 minutes in. They're behind 1,500 gold. They lost their mid lane turret, really opening up the map for Pupper Dogs. So what does Winona need to do to ensure that they can actually get to that late game right now?
Honestly, the biggest thing is going to be simply avoiding these fights, farming up as hard as possible on both Oakenball as well as Funky B to make it so that they can get as much wave clear as possible to stall out the game until they can reach that point, because their main forms of wave clear is through the barrels as well as the orbs coming in from Funky B, and right now they're not really investing their time into farming.
Yeah, the only one ahead in farm significantly being, again, Funky B on that mid lane, but still behind in gold, whereas on the top lane, Oakenball ahead in farm, behind in gold to Puffboy. Makes it really difficult for this late game scaling, late game scaling team comp to make it to that coveted late game. As Fear Fracture can't really do much to ultimatum. The Janna and Lulu supports really just nullifying damage from both AD carries, makes it an incredibly frustrating lane for both sides.
Yeah, however, the supports are also going to make it so that these AD carries can scale very well into the late game and be complete monsters with the amount of peel that they will be receiving. You have to remember that. And with this cripple coming in from Fear Fracture, he'll be doing insane amounts of damage to these tanks.
Yeah, and on second thought, I actually don't really mind it when it comes to just an isolated bot lane. The Caitlyn would scale better than the Lucian if Lucian went for that Bork. So he's opting to go for the Infinity Edge, that crit build, because he understands that he's not really going to get kills on the bot side in the 2v2. Whereas on the top lane, Puffboy confident they can get Oakenball. He's caught out. Doesn't even use Flash to save his life. Goes down, unfortunately, and another kill picked up for Puffboy.
Oh, no. He did try using Flash. It's just that he got hooked even after the Flash.
Yes.
It was actually a prediction by Puffboy.
That was the point. He tried, didn't quite get it, and now there's that 2v2 we were talking about. Bot lane doesn't do much, but Updog actually taking a lot of damage. There is the Cullen. Updog ulting himself, and Peter on the backside means that they might actually get something here. Exhaust is down. Updog, can he survive long enough? This turret is hammering into Peter. Now it's hammering into Fear Fracture. Gets Sleep forced to ult. and no kills. This is what we were talking about. So difficult to get a kill when the enemy support is a Lulu.
Yeah, and it's gonna be the same exact way though if they try to ever kill this Fear Fracture. Just because if you try and dive in as either Rek'Sai or Nautilus, there is always that Monsoon to simply knock you away.
Yeah, these are two of the most passive supports if you play them passive. Lulu can be played slightly more aggressive than Janna, but as we've seen, Updog choosing for the more passive play style, meaning that this bot lane, it's really just only affected when a jungler comes down. They're able to pick up that turret, but they still didn't get a kill. And if Peter hadn't been there, honestly, I don't think we would have really seen anything happen bot lane for a very long time.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to see is that normally in solo queue you'll see the Lulus rush an Ardent Sensor first, right after they get their Sidestone item and boots, but actually right now, just because there's going to be a lot more team fights with the team, because, oh, never mind, get sleeped!
Getting caught out!
Alright. As I was going to say, I was basically just... Oh, never mind.
Another catch on the Funky B. The charm lands, but there's the cleanse. That's what we were talking about. Can he actually get the damage? Ultimate on a Winged Cow! But the flash away means that he still dies to turret. The shot was out. You flashed after it, unfortunately. And that is why you take cleanse into Ahri. The charm lands, but able to get under turret just in time. And unfortunately, Demolisher started taking the turret aggro, but backed away. So then when Winged Cow was under, he started taking it. If Demolisher had just stayed for a little longer, it might have survived, but now he's moving to the top lane, trying to get Ball for the third time. Make it fourth, actually, as Puffboy blows ultimate. Can they get him? Seems like an easy pickup. Puffboy getting his fourth kill of the game.
Yeah, and here's where you really need to be warding your own jungle just to make it so that this cannot happen. That entire path is dark for the side of Winona, and they are not respecting that, especially when you have a Demolisher that can roam so fast around the map, and we can see a lot of aggression coming in this bot lane right now.
And Fear Fracture again trying to get that all in, and he just can't with only an Infinity Edge. If he had gone for that earlier game build, maybe it would have worked out. But unfortunately right now, not doing much, and this is going to be a Rift Herald, probably going to Puffboy. I could see it on Winged Cow, though, as Winged Cow has also been showing just how well he can 1v1 Funky B, but no, it's going to Demolisher.
Yeah, and part of that is going to be just because it will make it much easier for him to try and get those solo picks over in the side lanes when he goes to initially engage. Because as we saw, he initiated that whole engage onto Oakenball, he initiated the original engage onto Funky B, and so that's going to be a little bit of extra damage when they start up.
And looking at not only the CS discrepancy between Demolisher and Peter, but the gold discrepancy is absolutely ridiculous. Peter looking to maybe make it a little worse, flashes the wall to save his life though, but that is flashed down for Vi. Really difficult for Peter to make any kind of impact in this game right now.
Yeah, he is currently 2,600 gold behind Demolisher. Basically, the entire lead of the Pupper Dogs is in Demolisher's hands.
And wherever he goes, he picks up something. He's choosing to go top lane a lot. Maybe he'll go bot now as Peter's engaging onto Winged Cow. This is a 3v3, make it a 4v3, but now Demolisher makes it the 4v4. He is the scary member of the team. Going in onto Peter, gonna get the kill as Puffboy getting on to get sleep. That's one kill picked up. Can they get more? The ultimate onto Fear Fracture. But unfortunately, Pupper Dogs decide to back off. Winona are struggling right now. What can they do to get back into this game?
They just need to ward up and watch all of the flank points. You are not respecting the fact that this is a Rek'Sai who can go around the map with ease. He has that Dead Man's Play giving him 60 bonus movement speed as he's roaming around.
And this is going to be second Windrake, or Cloud Drake rather, picked up for the side of the Pupper Dogs, meaning the Demolisher can rotate even faster.
Yeah, and even more emphasis needs to be placed onto that warding within the flanks. Honestly, that is the thing that's caused most of the deaths, especially for Oakenball as well as Get Sleeps, is just simply being caught out and not expecting Demolisher to be coming in from the backside.
Yeah, and this is only 21 minutes into the game. Not even close to that late game power spike that we expect from the Gangplank from the Syndra, from the crit build Lucian. This is really not looking great for the side of Winona. Funky B, typically known for being able to win lane, is doing that in a way. Still ahead in CS, but hasn't been doing his signature side lane pressure. Not being able to pick up as many kills for his team by roaming around, but Winged Cow showing up huge here. Constantly pressuring these other lanes, roaming top, getting Puffboy ahead, roaming bot, getting kills there, in the 5v5 team fights. So when it comes down to the mid lane pressure, gotta give it to Winged Cow.
Yeah, you also have to remember, though, that Demolisher is doing an equal amount of pressure, if not more, just because he's initiating most of these fights, while Winged Cow is kind of going there in reaction to them, just because he has that bonus roaming potential. He can pull that off. But in all honesty, Demolisher heavily carried this early game from most of his team.
Very true. Ultimatum struggling a little bit on the bot side to get ahead. But again, when we have the Lulu into Janna, with both AD carries going for the late game, it's really just a farm match. So I didn't expect to see much action there, but now Pupper Dogs going for an early Baron. Only been up for 2.5 minutes, but there is no contest from the side of Winona. Again, no deep wards. Means that is a free Baron.
Yeah, and that Baron is going to be doing a lot of work just because they have the Caitlyn, which means that they're going to be sieging incredibly powerfully, especially if they stack up towards the mid lane, while allowing Puffboy to keep shoving in the side lanes. Right now we can see that Oakenball only has a Trinity Force and a Youmuu's Ghostblade, so we still can't really do much against this Puffboy, or against the Nautilus, who has 3 armor items. He has Ninja Tabai, he has Sunfire Cape, and Deadman's Plate, which is going to be making it so that he is just a monster to deal with.
2 Deadman's Plate with 2 Cloud Drake on the side of Pupper Dogs. The top lane and jungler can run Oakenball down. He has got to be terrified right now, meaning that, again, they just need those deep wards, and if they see any member of Pupper Dogs, Oakenball's got to just run away. And not to say I told you so, but this is what happens when you pick the Gangplank into that top lane. I mean, they have the initiating tank and they have the wreck side. Those dives under that blue side turret are so easy. We saw it happen 3 times and Oakenball just could not survive them. So this is really what you got to expect. If you're going to pick the Gangplank, you got to let Peter know, hey, stick on top side, keep me alive, because otherwise I'm not even going to have a chance to scale to the late game.
The issue is, though, is that this Gangplank was picked up incredibly early. I believe it was in the 2nd round of draft, to where that kind of means it was a blind pick.
Very true. But we saw Peter giving a lot of pressure to the bot side, being down there multiple times. Yeah, they got the turret again, but not being able to pick up many kills meant that his pressure was needed elsewhere. Funky B getting caught out, Ultimatum picking up the kill. Not having the damage he needs to assassinate any members, especially now when Lulu's around. Ooh. And now Get Sleep forced to flash away Demolisher and Updogger there. Exhaust is down, meaning Get Sleep survives, but the turret will not.
Yeah, and you can see that the side of Winona did an excellent job of finally warring up their topside jungle, but it means they left the bot and mid very vulnerable to where they're only really defending 1 member and 1 tower, which not much of the pressure is really at right now.
Ooh, there's the ultimate from Gangplank, though, clearing out the waves, but not doing much more. It does protect turret for a little longer, but can he survive Puffboy? Solo now in the top lane. Does not look like he will. Taking so much from Puffboy. Now there's another wave bot. This is not looking good for Winona.
And right now they're going to be trying to simply siege it out from the side of the Pupper Dogs, and that tower will be going down with the next minion wave. There is no way they'll really be able to deny this. There is no more Cannon Barrage from Oakenball. There is no more calling from Fear Fracture either. The only real wave clear they have would be Funky B. But in all honesty, if he steps up to try and wave clear, he could easily get caught out by Demolisher. He has that flash on Burrow ready.
However, if Ultimatum, or rather right now Updog, gets a little too far forward, maybe they can just delete a member and try to handle the siege that way, but instead the turret does go down, meaning that they're gonna have to back off even further. Pupper Dogs choosing, instead of going in onto the inhibitor, rotate mid, get that turret as well. Maybe back, maybe kill Fear Fracture in the meantime, flash away, flash forward from Ultimatum. There's the crit shot. Already scaling equally as fast as Fear Fracture, but a scaled Caitlyn much scarier at a long range than if you're than a scaled Lucian. And we're
Especially
seeing why right now. But Peter onto ultimatum. This is a 1v1, no members, no Lulu. This is what happens when your Peel support leaves you. Feels bad, man. And a kill picked up for Winona.
Yeah, and honestly, right now, that is exactly what we needed. However, that meant they put a lot of their resources over towards the bot lane, leaving their top side completely exposed. So that would be going a free tower towards the side of the Puffer Dogs, and now they can simply back, reset, and go for that third Cloud Dragon.
The roaming potential and the rotation will be ridiculous on the side of Puffer Dog.
Roaming potential doesn't really exist anymore. They're already cracked into the base of Winona, so they don't really need to roam, but the rotations is what is key, especially coming in from both Puffboy and Demolisher, who can set a lot of pressure into the top or mid-side turrets, while the rest of the team try and pressure that bot lane inhibitor.
Yeah, they can easily jump from bot to mid to top to mid to bot, and Winona just cannot keep up with them right now, not having the scaling yet. Funky B not even having a Rabadons at this point in the game, only 2 items completed, being a Morellonomicon and a Leandri's, meaning he can't even 0 to 100 ultimatum at this point, especially not if Up Dog's around. It's looking very grim for Winona.
Yeah, and we can see that Peter even went for a very tanky build. However, the only items he has that resemble tankiness is armor items, which means that Wayne, Cow, and Puffboy are going to be doing quite a bit of damage over to him. And he really needs to try and focus down ultimatum, but without those damage items, even if he does focus down ultimatum, he won't be doing much. He's on a dive champion without any actual dive potential.
Yeah, I maybe would have liked to see Merc Treads instead of the Ninja Tabi. Ninja Tabi making sense against the Caitlyn, reducing the auto attack damage, but Merc Treads reducing the CC duration, especially when there's a Nautilus, when there's a Rek'Sai, when there's an Ahri. I would have liked to see that a little more. Plus, the MR is just nice. Builds a little more cleanly, especially if you're going into that Randuin's Omen. But now we're seeing they're struggling to defend this bottom inhibitor, and Puffer Dogs do not look to be letting up.
The issue, though, is that Puffer Dogs are going to be wasting a lot of time going for this. However,
there's the engage on Up Dog and ultimatum. Up Dog ult himself, but goes down in the process. And now it is a clown fiesta. Both these teams hammering into each other. It's a 1-for-1 trade. And actually, Puffer Dog's coming out a little bit behind. Their health bar's ticking. They clumped together, allowing Funky B to get an aggressive flash from Get Sleeped. Means that the tornado knocks out multiple members' responses with flash. And there's the kill. Achenball finally getting the damage he needs with those barrels. Could this be the moment that Winona feels they have the confidence? They're getting towards that late game.
Yeah, and they really need to be closing, or the side of Puffer Dogs really need to try and close out this game as soon as possible, because once that game plan hits 3 or 4 items, especially if that's going to be Infinity Edge and a Last Whisper next, there is nothing you're going to be able to do against that game plan unless if you focus him during your dives, which in all honesty, they were not. They were trying too hard to focus down Funky B and Fear Fracture, which are slowly not even becoming the threats.
Very true. Up Dog also questionable ult there, ulting himself instead of ultimatum, still dying in the process. But if you had kept Caitlyn alive a little longer, maybe that fight could have gone slightly differently. But Winona pulling off a really good engager. Again, Funky B being that catalyst, saying, hey, look, as long as I can hit multiple members, we can win these team fights.
Yeah, but you can also see that most of the ultimates are up for the side of Winona. The only thing that still is yet to be up is going to be the Assault Battery. Meanwhile, well, actually all the ultimates are now back up for the Puffer Dogs as well, so this next team fight is going to be a full-out brawl.
And I'm excited to see what happens, as most flashes are down from many members of the side of Winona. Couple down from Puffer Dogs. Get Sleep getting caught out. There is the Monsoon. There's the engage from Peter. Can they get anything more for it? That's every member under the Gangplank ultimate. That is a kill onto Up Dog. Fear Fracture trying to get on the Winged Cow, but the ultimate went out from Lulu first. It is a 2-for-1. And Winona trying to back off. Really quick reflexes from Up Dog. He got bursted down so quickly, but still got ultimate onto Winged Cow, ensuring that Wild Growth kept Ahri alive.
Yeah, and they know that Winona is going to be trying to contest this Baron. They should not be starting it. They should honestly just be getting ready to bait right in that little space. You can see that Demolisher was spotted out, though, so they know something is up.
Oh, there's a flash on Burrow, onto Funky B, onto Akkenball. Funky B is going to be going down. Can't even get the ultimate off as Puff Boy picks up that kill. It's now a 4v3. Winona can't do much about this. Fear Fracture just got up, but Updog already running to Baron means that this is going to be a Baron most likely for Pupper Dogs. Unless Winona can pull off some kind of miracle steal here. Peter's in the pit, but way too early. No vision on it meant that they had no idea when to go in. Really tanky. Survives long, but no smite steal coming in from Winona, as well as a member down. Means that they might not be able to survive the next siege coming from Pupper Dogs.
The biggest issue, though, is the fact that Pupper Dogs are focusing way too many resources into one single lane that allows them to be grouped up for those Gameplink barrels and Funky B to be doing immense amounts of damage. In all honesty, they're not utilizing that rotation potential that we said with the 3 Cloud Dragons to its peak. They should be having Demolisher and Puff Boy affecting some other lane, either top or mid, making sure that every single wave is crashing into the towers, forcing Winona to have to back off and take care of one of those waves, allowing for the inhib to go down, and then grouping up so that they will have bot wave with the super minions causing far more pressure, which it looks like they are finally going for having more of that split focus, but it's still not built up enough, or at least towards the mid lane.
Yeah, trying to clear out jungle, trying to catch out Peter, who is alone. Able to get over the wall, though. Trying to get deep vision, but they really didn't know where the Pupper Dogs were. Now they do. They see Puff Boy top. They see 4 members bottom side. This is going to be difficult again for Winona to defend as Demolisher engages onto Funky B. There is the Monsoon keeping him alive, but the charm lands on a Fear Fracture. He gets bursted down, exhausted. Wing count means nothing at this point. This is a now 4v5 defense from Winona without an inhib. Baron up. This could be the end of the game as Funky B gets charmed. The cleanse does not save his life. Now multiple members on the side of Winona just getting bursted down. Akkenball cannot escape. Gets under his own fountain, though. Healing up a little bit. Pops the ultimate. Can they get anything for this? Turret's falling. Health bars falling. Get sleep. Trying to do the best he can. Flashing away. Knocking up members of Pupper Dogs. And Pupper Dogs slowly scrapping these turrets down, looking to take the Nexus, looking to end this game. Peter jumping onto the back, he's down to Winged Cow, but there's the Lulu ultimate, meaning that this Nexus will fall. And Pupper Dogs take the game against Winona, now 3-4 in the standings.
Yeah, and we can see that Winona is starting to climb their way back into those playoff brackets. And with that game, they're actually going to be taking the place of Pupper Dogs. Or sorry, the Pupper Dogs are going to be backwards. sorry, I had it backwards. Sorry. I completely screwed it up. Pupper Dogs are going to be going one up. The Pupper Dogs are going to be going one up against Fighting Saints and McAllister, putting them now over in 6th or 7th place, right around that area.
That is a playoff spot. Could still be lost, depending on how well they perform in the next couple of weeks, but it's a really comfortable place to be in as of right now, especially taking a win against Winona. Somebody who had just as many wins, but one less loss, means that Pupper Dogs showed they're at least better than the competition that was directly around them in the standings. Gotta feel great.
Yeah, and the biggest thing to let Winona know for them to work on is definitely going to be warding up the flank areas, because that is what allowed so many of the ganks to occur. But at the same time, those ganks were still beautifully executed by Demolisher as well as Winged Cow on those roams. So I would say those two made the MVP spots, and I honestly cannot decide who I'd rather give it to more. I wish I could simply give it to them as a pair, but you can't have 2 most valuable players. So we got to pick one. Who would you say?
What were your choices again? It's got to be Demolisher and who?
Demolisher or Winged Cow, because they were obviously the most impactful in the game for the side of the Pupper Dogs.
I think both performed incredibly well. I'm going to give it to Demolisher. However, Winged Cow's success at the end there, yeah, he had more kills. He had a death, But look at Demolisher's CS. Look at his gold differential over Peter. He was controlling not only the jungle by counter farming, but also constantly getting Ball behind and getting Puffboy ahead. Everything that Wings Cow was able to do, as we mentioned earlier in the game, was because of something Demolisher had done right before. I got to give it to Demolisher.
All right, and with that, I can agree with you. As long as it was one of those two, I am more than happy. And
exactly, but we are getting into the next game. Keep in mind, Puppy Dog's taking a victory, but they got to defend that as they're coming up against St. Cloud just in a couple minutes here.
All right, and with that, that means that we will be going into game number 3. We'll be back in just about 5 minutes. See you all then.
To what we love, risk the follow, we have felt it all come crashing down from far above. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding, only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkest skies, the champions that we defy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back for Game 3 of Minnesota LCS. Again, this is our Week 8 broadcast, Day 1. We still have another broadcast on Thursday, but for right now, we have St. Cloud against Pupper Dogs. Pupper Dogs just coming off a win against Winona last game, but this is their second game in a row, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays into this. Are they tired? Are they mentally unprepared? We'll see St. Cloud sitting in the standings, second to last place, unfortunately, with a 1-5 record. Pupper Dogs now being 3-4, almost evening out their wins and losses. So they're coming in hot, they're coming in spicy, but I'm excited to see what St. Cloud is able to do to hold them back, try to pick up a second win of the tournament for themselves.
Well, from what we saw in the last game, the Pupper Dogs actually had a pretty good showing, being able to capitalize early on into the game and keep that late game team at bay. And if anything, that first game was probably a warm-up for them. Usually you see it where most teams, when they do like a best of 3 or multiple games in a row, that where the first game is a little rusty, not exactly the best showing for them. And then the next few games are much more concise and much more defined. So I'm really excited to see how this next game is going to be for them. Meanwhile, we have St. Cloud, as you mentioned, towards the bottom of the standings. And I would like to see them try and climb back up into the playoff spots as a bit of that underdog type of mentality. Although actions speak louder than words, you'll just have to wait until this game gets started to really see who is ready.
Exactly, and we're asking for the R from the casters. Of course we're ready. Come on, guys. When are we not ready?
Yeah, but we gotta type it because they can't hear us.
True. Wait, they can't?
No.
There goes my theory of us taunting the Teemo pick and then picking it up. Man,
nope.
Why you gotta ruin the dream for me, Don?
They can never hear us. How? That doesn't even make sense. You're crazy. But
well, how come every time I say Aatrox, they hover Aatrox? That's all I gotta say, man.
Ooh. We do
and
see
the
an
Rek'Sai ban against Demolisher makes a lot of sense. We just saw him pop off on that champ, and he's on red side again where Rek'Sai thrives, so it makes sense to take that away from him.
However, that does mean that they're giving up a ban for something else. It could potentially mean that someone like Graves could be open, which if he does end up being open and is not immediately picked up by Real J-Dog, Demolisher could easily go for that instead. And as we've mentioned before, Graves is a far more influential jungler right now, so seeing Demolisher on someone like him would be outstanding.
Yeah, and keep in mind, last game, we mentioned the Graves ban, as well as many other jungle bans. Elise was banned last game, something Demolisher is very strong on. That's still on the table, so he has options at the moment that might be even better than Rek'Sai. We saw Rek'Sai played when there were 4 jungle bans last game. What's he going to pick up this time? It's something that St. Cloud really needs to keep in mind. And they do ban out Graves. I think that's got to be a very smart decision.
Yeah, but that does mean that at least, as you mentioned, is going to be open. And unless if they pick it up right away for themselves with Berge, it's going to be open for Demolisher to pick up next. So not really sure what they're going to be doing in terms of trying to retaliate against Demolisher.
Very true. We're seeing Ezreal banned out against Sean Nelson. Zach banned out against Berga, and then Shen banned. Shen being a fairly standard ban, but the Zach and the Ezreal, I honestly consider target bans. I mean, Ezreal's very strong right now, but Sean Nelson also very comfortable on the champ, so I like that they're trying to limit the pools, but it means that Caitlyn's on the table, oftentimes considered one of those top 2 picks right now between Ezreal and Caitlyn, so at least they get her as that first pick. I really like that decision. It's showing that they're not only playing around Sean Nelson's strengths, but also around what's good in the meta right now.
It's also going to be denying the Caitlyn away from Ultimate, which you have to remember, but we do see a Elise and Ahri locked in for the side of the Pupper Dogs. So as you mentioned, it was highly likely that the next lane after Rek'Sai would be Elise, and Ahri again is being picked up. Let's see if it's going to be counteracted with a Syndra.
Yeah, we just saw the Ahri played by Winged Cow. Elise was banned against Demolisher, but now Rek'Sai banned. He's picking it up. So fairly comfortable champs, I would say, on the side of Pupper Dogs. I really like what St. Cloud's trying to do with their picks and bans. They're banning out 2 champs that were played by the Pupper Dogs last game, as well as 1 OP one, being Graves, and then also picking up the Caitlyn. Now picking up Nautilus. They're taking away the champs that were played by the Pupper Dogs last game which makes me think that the Pupper Dogs are going to have to rethink their strategy. They can't play the exact same game that they just did, so what are they going to try to do now?
They could still play something similar. As we saw before, Jana into Lulu does a decent job just because, or not Jana into Lulu. You could still pick up Jana as another peel support. That is still open onto the table because it looks like they'll be picking their support last. And having the Fiora into Nautilus is an excellent matchup in favor of Fiora because she is known as that duelist and tank killer of the top lane.
Hey, there's the Teemo hover. Oh, I told you they could hear me. Come on, Tom. What are you telling me?
I mean, they could be watching the stream.
Could be true.
But they don't hear us directly.
The Lucian locked in. We saw the same matchup last game. Lucian into Caitlyn, now swapping sides. But last time we saw Lucian going for that later game build. Do you expect to see that again here? Last time, I didn't think so because of the team comp. They had the Gangplank, they had the Syndra as their late game scaling, but now they have a Fiora and an Ahri. So now do you think that maybe Lucian has a better build going for that crit?
I highly doubt it. I would still like to see the Blade Rune Cane into the Black Cleaver just because having the Armor Shred is really nice, as well as it's a more mid-game style build, which I would argue if Winona went for that mid-game build, it would have really helped them try to scale up into that late-game stage for Gangplank and Syndra. So I would like to see the same idea being brought out here, and that's a Bard logged in for Updog.
The Bard is in the game. Bard Lucian against Karma Caitlyn. Keep in mind, Karma Caitlyn not only incredibly pokey, but very good at clearing waves. Karma, one of the best supports at assisting an AD carry with CS. But the engage potential from Bard is absolutely ridiculous, especially when paired with the Fiora's damage. So I'm excited to see what Pupper Dogs are able to do in the late game with these team fights, but as of right now, St. Cloud's lanes seem pretty strong right now. They have Caitlyn, which outranges Lucian, as well as Karma. We saw what Caitlyn with Lulu could do. Caitlyn with Karma is similar in the sense of being able to receive those shields, but Karma offers a lot more damage.
Yeah, the only thing I'm not too happy about with this Bard is just because he's incredibly good for engage side picks using his ultimates. However, the rest of his team doesn't exactly have the greatest follow-up.
I do agree. I would have liked to see with the Bard something more like maybe an Olaf jungle or a Hecarim, something that can follow up if he's able to make a pick with the ult to be able to dash in there quick and get the damage off that they need. But I still think it's exactly the type of pick that I like to see in Minnesota LCS. It's something new, something fresh, and something that's really fun to commentate.
Oh, exactly. And it still works very good defensively, because if you see the Vi using the Assault Battery or the Fizz trying to jump in with his Shark, you could easily deny them that full engage using Bard's ultimates. So there is still that potential, and I could see Updog being a far more peel or defensive style of play, which I think I would still like to see.
Very true. And now we're seeing again this mid lane matchup. Finally something new. Past two games, we saw Syndra into Ahri. We're still seeing Winged Cow pick up Ahri for the second time, but he's the only laner that has the same champ from last game, and now he's playing into a Fizz. What do you feel about that matchup?
I feel like pre-6 Fizz is the advantage, just because he can easily do the troll pull right over Ahri's charm. However, post-6, Ahri's added mobility will make it so that she can easily dodge Fizz's attempts to all-in. Otherwise, it's definitely a skill matchup.
Very true. Both of them with a lot of damage. We talked about how Ahri in the first game, she can be that assassin, but she can also be that control mage, depending on the playstyle. Fizz is pretty much all assassin all the time, which is honestly, I think more advantageous in this matchup. He's against a non-tanky top lane and a non-tanky support. There really is no tank on the side of Pupper Dogs this game, which is going to be really difficult for them. Demolish is going to have to go maybe for that Spirit Visage early to get the tanky stats on Elise, which is not something you want to do, especially not his playstyle. He's that playmaking jungler. He's that carry jungler that gets the rest of his team ahead. How can he kind of translate that into being more of a tank?
Yeah, and actually a big thing that they could do instead of going for a tank build is focusing on using the cocoons and charms to catch out Springs 24 to make it so that he can't go for those all-in assassination attempts, because that would basically be the same thing. If you're dead, you're not going to kill people.
Very true. And now looking at the side of St. Cloud, I like their more rounded composition. They have even AD and AP damage. They have a tank. They have an off tank. They have a support that can play very supportive, boosting speed, giving shields, but also does a lot of damage. So personally, I got to give it to the side of St. Cloud when it comes to overall drafting phase. But in your opinion, Fenris, who do you think had the more advantageous pick ban?
Overall drafting phase, I would agree St. Cloud has it better just because I enjoy having that tank in the team. I enjoy having the potential for all-in as well as the potential for counter engages. But I also can understand and appreciate the idea that the Puffer Dogs has for this draft, where they're going to use the Fiora specifically to counter the Nautilus and be able to split push and constantly have pressure in side lanes. And then they can utilize the Bard and the Ahri and the Elise to rotate around the map with extremely high mobility, using those tunnels as well as the overall mobility that each of those champions have naturally to pressure elsewhere on the map.
Very true. Now, I always like to point out something that doesn't make a huge impact, but I think has some impact on the play of the game.
Skins.
The side of St. Cloud having 4 gold members and 1 diamond, whereas Pupper Dogs having 3 plats and 2 golds. What do you think that's going to mean? Obviously, St. Cloud, Springs 24, being diamond means that he has a little more experience, most likely, and might be a little better even in specific matchups. But having 3 plats on the side of Pupper Dogs, maybe their macro game is a little more easy because they can kind of play around those 3. But in your opinion, how do you think that affects the game?
Honestly, for someone who has played in both or in all 3 of gold, plat, and diamond, individual lane matchups, there's not a huge difference between the 3. Yeah, it's more likely that the gold will beat that the diamond will beat a gold in lane. But the biggest difference when you have a diamond player compared to a gold player on your team is going to be the ability to focus on objectives and call out the right types of things to focus on.
Very true. I could not agree more. But getting into this game, once again, it's St. Cloud against Pupper Dogs. St. Cloud, we have a real J-Dog top lane. Virga in the jungle. Springs 24 mid with Sean Nelson and Use AD carry as bait rounding out the bot lane. Whereas on the side of Pupper Dogs, one more time for the evening, Puff Boy top lane, Demolisher roaming the jungle, Winged Cow mid with Ultimatum and Updog on the bot side. Now an early 5-man invade from the Pupper Dogs. They lost first blood last game to a 5-man invade. This time they're going for it. Just getting some wards down for now.
Yeah, but immediately you can see the Spell Thief proc going from use ADC as bait, so that is already going to be an 8 gold advantage over to the side of...
It's so much, man. It feels so good as a support going in a lane like, hey, I got an advantage on you.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference between 8 gold and 8,000 gold?
Nothing at level 1. But a flash means a lot. As the real J-Dog, really far up in the jungle, doesn't expect Puff Boy and Winged Cow to be there.
Especially because that is already a losing lane just by the picks alone. Nautilus naturally has a lot of trouble against a Fiora. And without Flash, he's going to have a much harder time trying to escape.
What's interesting to note, however, is the Doran shield pickup respecting the damage that Fiora puts out. Doran's shield, really not that popular right now, but I don't mind it into this specific matchup because you know you're already going to lose it. So let's stop a little bit of the damage from them and get back some of that health because you're probably not going to be needing the mana regen from Doran's ring, and you might not want to go straight into that ruby crystal or that cloth armor that you typically would want to do with Nautilus. So I don't really actually mind it, although it hasn't seen much play.
Yeah, I do like the Doran shield, and I think I would still appreciate seeing a cloth armor just because that would make it so you could have a lot more potions, have a lot more sustain through that style. And it also makes it so that you could start building immediately towards a Sunflower Cape, having to spend less gold. So, I mean, it's all playstyle, can't really argue it too much. There's both good options, it's just I feel like a Cloth Armor would have been a little bit better.
Very true, but actually taking advantageous trades against Puffboy. Puffboy saying, look, you took my champ, man. Come on, just let me play Nautilus. Not having that perfect CS we saw him on before. And now some early jungle roams here. We're seeing Demolisher still clearing up his top side as Burga heading into the jungle. Demolisher already played against a Vi last game and was able to outrange him, or out jungle farm him. This time we'll see if he's able to do the same playing Elise.
Yeah, and part of that came from opting into doing very heavy clears early on to the game. Meanwhile, we can see Burgess going in for this gank.
Yeah, onto Winged Cow. Flash is out, which means Summoner Spell advantage for Springs 24 in lane. Even though Real J-Dog lost it on top side, now maybe they can play around that mid lane. Maybe if Burga clears a couple of camps, goes back mid, they can pick something up before Winged Cow reaches out level 6. It's really difficult to gank an Ahri level 6, but before then it's pretty easy, especially when they don't have that flash.
Yeah, it could easily be trying to focus down that top lane, and the biggest thing is that if you go for a trade with an Nautilus into Fiora, a simple auto attack can be reposted to stun you. Because of Nautilus is passive,
Ooh.
It will.
And now Demolish is on the top side as well. The Real J-Dog doesn't have flash available. He had to have been expecting this. Puffboy picking up first blood. And the Real J-Dog just too far forward. You don't have flash. You don't have vision of the enemy jungler. He felt confident because of that deep ward he placed, but Demolish was able to get around that and pick up a clean first blood for his top laner.
Yeah, and with that first blood, that's just going to mean that this Fiora versus Nautilus matchup is going to be even more difficult, especially if you can rush towards that Black Cleaver or even a Ravenous Hydra to make it so your sustain is so much higher. And at this point, Demolisher could start focusing other lanes, knowing that Puffboy will be just fine over in that top lane, and just spread around the lead to other areas of the map. The biggest thing I could see, you can't really invade a Vi that easily as an Elise. You will lose in a straight up duel, but you could easily counter gank as an Elise. You have a far higher crowd control when it comes to the early game, especially pre-6, where Vi does not have that assault battery. So you can try and pressure in that method.
But keep in mind, Demolisher has opted for an earlier back than Burga. So if they met right now, Demolisher would win the matchup, having just that extra AP, that extra damage on Burga, and still same level. Not much of a gold lead, but Burga opted
It's already
for
300.
Yeah, Burga trying to go for that more clean, full clear, and then backing.
Yeah, and even tried to look to see if he could potentially invade into the enemy jungle while Demolisher was over in the top side, but found that the jungle was already cleared up because Demolisher knows to opt into that full clear before going for anything.
And now Puffboy already having Tiamat in top lane against a Real J-Dog. Means that not only will he be able to out-damage, but also out-push him. Nautilus really good at pushing a lane, but Springs 24 getting an early level 6 lead on the Winged Cow. There's Exhaust down, Ignite out of Winged Cow, but Springs can't quite get the damage. But again, Summoner Spell's trade. Springs still having flash, but not enough mana to follow up. And Demolisher there on the mid lane, trying to get some for it. Can't quite pick it up.
Yeah, there's still both summoners down from the mid laners, having both flashes and the exhaust or the exhausting ignite also down. We can already see that this Tiamat is doing immense work. There is also that grand challenge coming in from Puffboy, not just yet, but should be soon going for a dive.
Yeah, Real J-Dog's struggling right now. Not only is he behind in items and gold, but also now behind a level. Finally getting that level 6 means he can defend himself a little better. And with Burga heading to the top side, maybe they can get something. It is warded though. So we'll look to see if they actually commit. Nope, Burga just looking to clear his jungle, but Real J-Dog doesn't care. He wants to trade, but can't quite get it. This is what we're talking about. There's Burga, Puffboy backing off. They know it's warded now. And this is where we're seeing maybe some of this this kind of difference in rank showing up, as Real J-Dog might have been able to tell him, hey, that's warded. I saw him walk over that direction. But in the meantime, Updog taking a lot of damage, forced to flash away from Sean Nelson. Sean Nelson having flash and heal available. Do they use exhaust? It's already used, and actually it was an ignite. My bad, I didn't see that. Pup-Boy teleports and flash from Demolisher. Means the cocoon lands onto Nelson. Pup-Boy picking up the kill, use AD carry. His bait has no mana, no summoner spells, no hope of escape, and Winged Cow picks up the 3rd kill for the team.
Yeah, and that should be a free Ocean Dragon coming in towards the side of the Pupper Dogs. And one thing that we actually never noticed was the massive farm discrepancy between the mid and bot lanes on the side of the Pupper Dogs. We have it right now where it's 18 CS difference between the mid lane and a 23 CS difference in the bot lane. So even though the bot lane ended up giving up 2 kills right there, they are still quite a bit ahead in gold by about 400 right now.
And honestly, this is kind of what we expect to see when it's the Caitlyn Karma into the Lucian Bard. Lucian Bard is an odd lane to put together. Lucian really strong in the all-in. Bard really good at picks, but I mean, not much you can do against the Caitlyn Karma. They outrange you, they outdamage you. So you really need your jungler or your mid lane to come down, which is exactly what Pupper Dogs did. They realized, look, we can't really do much in the 2v2, so let's make it a 4v2. Let's send in backup and pick up those kills. Pick up the Drake, which skyrockets them ahead in gold. Now 800 ahead. So I skyrocket might be a little extreme, but they are ahead in gold at the moment, even though we are seeing that farm discrepancy, which makes sense. Caitlyn into the Lucian, really just gotta bully him out from her range.
Yeah, and another point for the whole Bard and Lucian interaction is the fact that, oh, never mind, we actually see a potential hit going on to the Demolish over here, but he's just going to back off. Real
J-Dog playing confidently in the 1v2, sees Demolisher get a little too close to turret, says, hey, don't forget, I still my turret, it does damage. As a Winged Cow is looking to follow up and send backs, and now we're seeing Burga just not really being able to compete with Demolisher when it comes to these roams. And this is exactly what we saw from Demolisher last game. Ultimatum actually taking a lot of damage as the True Shot Barrage comes down. Shot or Updog actually.
The Tempered Fate was kind of pointless right there.
Didn't do much.
No.
As an interactive ultimate, you typically want to ult the enemies rather than yourselves. Just as a pro tip. Especially if it is a Caitlyn. If she pulls up ace in the hole, you ult her, not your own AD carry.
Yeah, but the biggest thing to remember when you're looking at bot lane duos is the fact that you have to think
about... Here's Spring 24 onto the bot side. Ace in the hole goes through. Shows the Shark. Sean Nelson picking up that kill. And a forced heal means that Springs 24 survives. That's the first kill for St. Cloud. Looking very good. Really strong rotations. Burga was there as backup, although they didn't even need him.
Yeah, and actually Ace in the hole never went through. It got stopped by Bard's Q. And now we can see that Winged Cow is trying to catch up Burga.
But Burga taking a lot of damage. There's the Cocoon, and the Charm also landed earlier, meaning the Demolisher picks up a kill. The Chain CC cannot be handled by Burga, unfortunately. Now Real J-Dog once more onto Puff-Boy. Can he get it, though? Puff-Boy on the killing spree. 3-0-0.
Jeez, that is an incredibly fed Fiora. The only issue is, though, is that Fiora is awful in group team fights. So all that gold that's being stacked onto one laner is not going to translate well into a group setting.
In the meantime, Cocoon, instead of Sean Nelson, goes on to use AD carry his bait. Is it enough, though? Demolisher taking a lot of damage. Can Sean Nelson get him? Unfortunately not, as Ultimatum picks up his first kill of the game, and we absolutely know now he's going for that Bork build. In the meantime, Springs 24 wants Winged Cow's blood. Does not throw out the Chum the Waters ultimate, but instead decides to save it. And no summoner spells burned.
Yeah, the Chum the Waters is much better to do later on rather than going for the start of engagement, just because they're more than likely already going to be on the retreat, and it makes it much easier to land a long distance ultimate as compared to trying to use it for an engage. And the biggest thing to look at when you're looking at these two bot lane duos is you have to think about the way in which the AD carry and support both want to play and how well they work together. With Bard, he wants to poke and have his enemies towards the
Burger on the top side against Puffboy. Springs 24 there as well. There's that ultimate. Misses the target, but might still land. Puffboy flashes away. Under turret taking a lot of damage. Real J-Dog tanking it. And that's another kill to Springs 24. Actually, the first kill, but the second kill participation. And it might actually be first turret blood going to the side of St. Cloud.
That will be the first.
JD carries big getting cut out on the bot side though. Who's gonna get the kill? Demolisher does. Repelling back up. Updog can tank those turret shots. But it does still mean first turret for it, St. Cloud.
Alright, so this is going to be a turret for turret trade. However, getting that first turret gold is definitely going to be far more better for the side of St. Cloud. Honestly, I could see them turning this game around and weighing it for themselves. Just because, as mentioned before, most of the gold right now is sitting onto Puffboy, who is not going to be too useful in a group setting. Meanwhile, a lot of the gold for St. Cloud is allocated onto
Sean Nelson flashes, but still the charm lands, still gives up the kill. Winged Cow lands on the trap. Can the third turret shot goes in? It does not. Springs 24 is there as backup, flashes in, flash away from Winged Cow. Means the Springs 24 might pay the price. Can he get anything for it? Exhaust down, ultimatum, picking up the kill. And I like the effort. But he did not have ultimate available at the time. Unfortunately, it was just on cooldown. Came up as he was dying, but couldn't quite get it.
Yeah, and
on the Winged Cow.
Another Ocean Dragon will be coming up real soon. And I like how the moment I say I could see St. Cloud trying to come into a victory, it immediately bites them. Just because they have that
classic caster's curse.
Yeah, they have that little overextension that allowed the full engage to happen. And we can still see that Puffboy is putting a lot of pressure onto the real J-Dog, who is down a teleport right now. So he will not be able to join his team for this potential Dragon. It looks like it should be going over to the Pupper Dogs, should they go for it.
But keep in mind, real J-Dog doing a decent job keeping up with CS as Exhaust cancels out the ultimate from Springs 24. Actually trading some damage. Now Updog getting caught up by Burger and use AD carry his bait. Ultimatum's coming in from the backside. But actually Burger flashing into the Winged Cow. That was a smart move. There is the Bard ultimate. Temper's Fate stops the members, but the kill still goes through. But Puffboy is here to follow up Demolisher as well. Ultimatum cleaning up the backline. This is a slaughterhouse. St. Cloud falling. Every single member looks to be going down. But Puffboy does not want to jump under turret. And Burga somehow escaping with his life into the topside jungle. Now Pupper Dog's just looking to pressure this mid turret.
That fight overall was quite awful on the side of St. Cloud just because they had a split focus where part of the fight they were focusing on Winged Cow, they got him. But then the rest of the fight, they didn't know who to focus. They had one person trying to get onto Ultimatum. They had the rest of the people trying to take away Puffboy and Demolisher. It's just simply put, they did not lay their crowd control effectively, and they focused the wrong targets.
Yeah, I liked the play from Burga saying, nope, we're going to get Winged Cow, but unfortunately, use AD carry as bait was still on Demolisher and did not get the same message, got caught out in the meantime. Same with Springs 24. So if they had had team communication, maybe they would have been able to play that a little better, but in the meantime, they do lose drag and a couple kills. So yeah, they had first turret blood, evening the gold gap, but now behind 2k gold once again.
Yeah, and it seems like this game is really just going to be back and forth. There's always that one fight that puts St. Cloud towards a lead, and then there's the fight that puts...
Oh, there's another ultimate. No exhaust this time, but unfortunately, no AP from Springs 24. Trying to get onto Winged Cow. Can he get anything for it? Demolisher's there. You got to finish him up quick. Springs 24, no flash available. Can he even get out? He's got to go back in. Oh, playful trickster away. Demolisher doesn't want to give up. Goes in. Burga now 1v2 onto Updog and Ultimatum. St. Cloud, you are grasping for straws at this point of the game and not picking up anything for it. 2 kills for free going over the side of Pupper Dogs. A turret is picked up though.
Not completely for free. There weren't seen flashes burned.
Lives for it as Demolisher's on to use AD carry his bait. Updog's there as well. And the Cole lands onto 0 targets. Sean Nelson knows he's going to die. Trying to get some for it. Still goes down.
Alright. And most of that was due to mispositioning from both sides. We had it where Springs 24 was trying to go too hard onto Winged Cow. And the moment that the Spirit Rush went back in, he got completely baited to try and fight him. even though Wayne Cow is still quite ahead by 2 levels and a decent amount of gold right now. On the other hand, we have it where Berge was for some reason in the enemy jungle without any wards, and there was also a Bard on the enemy team that could easily catch you out. You have to respect that.
Yeah,
I just don't really know.
Jumping over the wall doesn't mean much when the Bard can follow with the entire enemy team. Real J-Dog again, opting for a pure armor tank build. Looks to be getting Frozen Heart next, most likely. Having already completed Glacial Shroud, but this might be a Ripped Herald over the side of Pupper Dogs. They tried this in their last game against Winona. Didn't quite complete it. They were stopped. Maybe this time they... Or no, actually, they did get it. Demolisher being able to pick it up.
Yeah.
So if they can do that again...
It's going to be Puff Boy this time. Definitely being on the Fiora, you have to give it over to Puff Boy.
Yeah, makes sense. And it will be the member that they choose.
Ooh, and we can now see that the Black Cleaver is finished onto Puff Boy, so that's going to be a lot more damage trying to split push against this Nautilus. And in all honesty, there doesn't seem to be a good answer for him to try and deal with this Fiora, except for having Berge or Springs24 try and come up and simply create a 1v2 or a 1v3 scenario.
Yeah, both these teams playing very safe. Once again, Demolisher showing up huge for his team. The Chain CC had to use AD carry as bait, but there's no follow-up. Unfortunately, Pupper Dogs can't quite get there. But once again, Demolisher, second game in a row that he is really controlling the tempo for the team. Anywhere he goes,
Roots on the waters.
The Springs24 trying to get anything he can. There is the Tempered Fate from Updog. Can they get a stun? Flash away from Springs24 means that a kill onto Ultimatum. Is this what they need? Demolisher getting Chain CC. He finally goes down. That's shutdown gold to Berga. That's 2 kills for 0. This is exactly what St. Cloud need to get back into the game. They gotta pressure something now. Top is pushed into them. Bot is pushing into Pupper Dogs. Where do they go next?
Right after this is actually be traveling over towards the bot side, pressure that bot tower and get some wards in. Berge and Springs20 or Berge and Usaid carries bait need to be backing off though. They are quite low and can easily get picked off by Wayne Cow, who has the Spirit Rush up. And what we saw during that fight was the pure reason why you don't want to be ulting your own allies as Bard when the enemy has a Caitlyn. Because with that Tempered Fate under the stasis, Caitlyn can easily place a trap right underneath the feet to where there is no escape. It's just like the old trick of having a Bard and Zillion combo or use the Tempered Fates and then place the stun immediately below them to trigger the moment that the stasis ends.
Very true, but a really smart play from the side of St. Cloud. I gotta give it to them. Over aggression from Pupper Dogs. They definitely made the mistake that allowed St. Cloud to capitalize. But credit to St. Cloud for having the guts to capitalize on it. When you're this far behind, sometimes you say, look, we're just going to play super passive. But they understood, we have this fight, we can do this. And now they're closing in that gold lead, getting their 3rd turret and bringing the gold lead to under 1,000. Makes it so that they are very much in this game. Again, Puff Boy having so much gold on the top side. He might even get caught out by Springs24. Can he stop the Fizz in the 1v1? Maybe not. He has no one near him. He's going to be going down. There's nothing he can do.
Oh, no!
He's got the damage, though. And the kill goes to Springs24. This is what we were talking about. You can't give all the gold onto just one member. They cannot team fight. The split push Fiora still loses to the Fizz, having no magic resist.
Yeah, and the big issue about that is that you don't even have the full Ravenous Hydra complete. There is no lifesteal built or lifesteal built on that Fiora just yet, which you will need to duel the Fizz, especially with Ultimate and Ignite up. That's just going to reduce healing even further. Meanwhile, we can see that Real J-Dog is potentially being caught out, and no, he'll walk away.
Taking some damage, but gets out in the end. And we're seeing a 15 kill to 6 kill. That's a 9 kill lead for the Pupper Dogs, but tied for gold.
Yeah.
They are not playing the objectives that we saw them playing last game. They're going for the kills, but not getting much else.
Well,
so what do they need to do?
We can see some focus around this dragon, which is also an Earth Dragon, which will make taking any future objectives that much easier. As we saw, they tried sending Puff Boy down into the bot lane to make it so that he could sneak a Baron. With this Earth Dragon, it will make it just a little bit easier. However, Springs24 is here. He has the Chum the Waters. We could easily go for an engage, as well as a Death Charge to follow up from the side.
And keep in mind, having a third Drake makes this the Elder Drag is almost an even trade for Baron. Now, Real J-Dog getting caught out in a 1v4, but the rest of the team is there for follow-up. Using the Kiri's bait actually popping, getting hit by the Tempered Fate from Bard, and the cleanup coming in from St. Cloud. They're trying to get every member. That's a double kill on the Springs 24. Winged Cow trying to get away. Only him and Ultimatum are left alive, but Springs 24 wants to make it a triple kill to the Fizz. And that also the Dragon secure as well.
The Dragon secure, as well as it's going to be a bottom tier 2 tower going over to Springs 24 because he has that Mountain Dragon, he has a full-size minion wave, as well as a Sheen, so he should be able to take this down fairly easily. Meanwhile, we can see that they're going to be utilizing the siege potential of Caitlyn, placing down those cupcake traps to make sure that this turret is taken uncontested. That's going to be 2 turrets and 4 kills. Making it so that St. Cloud now is a 3k gold lead from what we saw was completely tied up just a minute ago.
And this is the point where you're the Pupper Dogs, and it's almost hard to realize that you are behind right now, but Berge getting caught out. There's a JTC. Doesn't make it over the wall.
All right. Right now, the Pupper Dogs have to group up and pressure this Baron because they have Puffboy down the bot lane. He has a almost completed Ravenous Hydra as well as the Black Cleaver. He can duel most people right now, especially since we just saw Springs 24 waste his Charm the Waters, missing. It's potentially going to be going down here.
Flash away, Playful Trickster away. Uses everything to get away from the Pupper Dogs. I agree. They got to go for Baron. Puffboy pushing bot lane. 4 members on Baron.
Before Berge's back up, they need to send someone to deal with Berge in the bot lane. Otherwise, he'll be getting a free tower. And the rest of the team from inside St. Cloud will have to go over towards this Baron to deal with it. But it looks like they're not even suspecting a thing. They're finally going over now, and they can see it.
Ooh, Demolisher taking a lot of damage, though. The Real J-Dog going to get anything for it. Doesn't actually go in onto Demolisher. Instead, just walking into the enemy team. Temper Fate lanes onto 2 members, but a kill onto the Updog. Baron not secured. And this is what I was just talking about. The Pupper Dogs, they're looking at their stats saying, we're so far ahead in kills. Look at our lanes. We got to be stronger, right? Like, we got to be. And then you realize they're 3k gold behind. They can't see that. All they can see is the CS and the kills and the turrets. They don't realize that they don't actually necessarily win these 5v5 fights, especially when they have the Fiora that's meant for the split push. And this is a Baron try from St. Cloud. Sean Nelson making a lot of damage, but a double kill going in for Springs 24. Puffboy into the backline, picks up 1, but he's going to sacrifice himself in the meantime. That is a 1-for-3. And St. Cloud cleaning up. They got to look to Baron now.
The issue is that they're down Sean Nelson, who is their main form of damage, so they really won't be taking this Baron down too fast. I actually like the idea that they're going for turrets instead. But back to the original Baron attempt from the Pupper Dogs, they backed off when they didn't have to. Berge wasn't there, and neither was Springs 24. They didn't really have much AoE damage from the side of St. Cloud to really pressure the Baron. They could have burned it and then left. But instead, they decided to back off right away, let Updog die, and just give it up.
But St. Cloud making the correct decision, as you said, going for the turrets instead of the Baron. Losing a member in the meantime, though. Tempered Fate not available for that pick, but using Akiri's bait, getting stunned up. That's a double kill for Winged Cow. St. Cloud not respecting the damage nor the CC from Pupper Dogs. Getting a little overconfident right now.
Yeah, and part of that's with having mostly armor built on the Real J-Dog and not much magic resist just yet. So Winged Cow and Demolisher are going to be doing quite a bit of damage, especially since Demolisher has that... Oh, actually, some of the water is going straight onto the Baron.
And now we're seeing the same thing again. 3v5. They're getting onto Demolisher, trying to take out the jungler for that smite suit, but the Updog actually gets a kill on a Burga. Can Sean Nelson get anything for this? The members of Pupper Dogs are so low, they can't get Baron. But now Springs 24 going back in. Can he get the 1v5? Zonia's is there. Can he jump onto anybody? Exhaust means that he only gets 1. Can he get more?
Two.
Oh,
the bleed double. Killed out Demolisher.
And the third, is that 4th? I believe it's 4th now. Baron in a row.
Baron attempt, not Baron. Baron attempt. It has yet to get taken down. And we're going to see yet another turret for turret trade. However, that is a tier 2 turret going down for the side of Puffer Dogs. Meanwhile, it's only a tier 1 going down for St. Cloud, so that's definitely a win for St. Cloud. They're already
Real J-Dog pressuring bot turret as Sean Nelson pushes us mid. This is not looking great for Puffer Dogs.
Yeah, they have Pupboy back over towards the turrets trying to defend it. He will be able to defend against Real J-Dog, but Ultimatum versus...
Fighting off a little more than he can chew, taking some damage. Sean Nelson getting with the rune hands. And Updog is saying, look, Bard does damage. I can take him. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and oh, actually, we forgot to mention, we do see the Bladed Rune Cane into Black Cleaver build coming in from Ultimatum, so he will be able to do decent amounts of damage to both Burgay as well as Real J-Dog. And I cannot wait to see how this is going to go out since it is just being completed. He won't be as great at killing the squishier targets such as Sean Nelson in Springs 24, but he'll be doing an amazing job against Real J-Dog.
But let's keep in mind, this is the early game build Lucian, whereas Sean Nelson has Runeans and Infinity Edge and is already about to get what I would assume would be Rapid Fire Cannon plus the Quicksilver Sash, meaning that Sean Nelson's already close to that late game build. That late game power spike from Caitlyn going to be doing massive amounts of damage, which just can't be answered from Ultimatum at this point of the game. I do agree, Ultimatum can do a lot of damage to Real J-Dog, but in the meantime, Spring 24 going back into the Wings Cow, getting so much damage. The Charm lands, the Redemption's coming down from both sides, Spring 24 flashing out, Redemption's there, and the... the belt missing him because of Zonia's Updog taking lots of damage. Flash to the wall actually survives, but depth charge onto Ultimatum means he gets actually pulled out from the wall, but Puffboy is still there, still fed, still getting kills. And overall, a 1-for-1 trade in a chaotic engage.
Yeah, but that is a jungler going down for a top laner, which in all honesty, you want to keep your jungler alive as much as possible because there is always that threat of a Baron Rush, which right now, having the Mountain Dragon, if you usually try and turn towards the Baron, they are a bit low, but they could bait it at the very least, or go for this Mountain Dragon. Which honestly, I think I'd rather see them go for the second Mountain Dragon, because that means that once they go for another Baron attempt, which has been freaking, we've seen how many 5 or 6 Baron attempts now this game?
Around that number.
Yeah. So next time that St. Cloud goes for one, if they have a second Mountain Dragon, it should be almost guaranteed. However...
But keep in mind, Mountain Dragon is up. St. Cloud is low.
So this could actually be going over to the side of the Puffer Dogs, which would make them on an even playing field in terms of objective taking. But they still have far more towers to go through. There are 6 towers down for them, and they only have taken 2 themselves.
But this Mountain Drake will help to alleviate that. It's less of being good for them and more of just denying it from the Caitlyn. Caitlyn with double Mountain Drakes can siege turrets so well that it almost makes you want to throw up. It's not even fun to play against at that point. So denying that from her is honestly the more important part. Yes, as you said, it helps them contest Baron, it helps them trade turrets, but it's more taking it away so Caitlyn doesn't get in. In the meantime, Berge getting caught out, but Spring 24 jumping back in. The Chum, the Water's landing on the Wings Cow. Exhaust is there, and actually he dies first. Wing Cow picking up the kill. That's 2 members down for 1. Puffer Dogs coming out ahead of this as of right now.
Demolisher, you have to back right now. They need you healthy for this Baron attempt or any tower to take. You just need to back. You are low. Actually, I guess if they let him attack all the minions, he'll be able to heal up over time, as well as having that double Ocean Dragon. So they could go for something here. They have it where 2 members are still down on the side of St. Cloud for another 20 seconds. I don't know why they're still going for towers.
They want to get as much as they can in the meantime, but Ultimatum almost going down. Redemption's going to heal him up a little bit, but Real J-Dogs on the backside still has Ultimate available, but still cannot tank everything. Almost getting burst down. Redemption healing him up. Hopefully going under turret. Does not realize Redemption's there. Shut down for Sean Nelson. Picking up the kill on the Puffboy. He gets a little too greedy. Redemption barely healing up Real J-Dog. Saving his life.
And here's where they simply got far too greedy going for those kills and not realizing there is a ton of peel. They have the Nautilus. They have the Karma. You have to respect it.
Yeah, now Sean Nelson getting greedy, but getting the kills anyway. Going all in 1v4. Making it an even trade at least.
But again, that is the jungler going down, which the jungler is one of the most crucial pieces right now since Baron is still up and there is always that pressure. You have to keep that in mind.
Use AD carry his bait, getting hit by the charm, getting hit by the damage. And now Springs 24 on the backside. Chum the bucket onto Ultimatum means that he gets bursted down so quickly. 2 ultimates burned, but Updog gonna pay the price next. Oh, the Zonia's blocking charm. Turret is picked up, and this is what St. Cloud wanted to do before. They say, we don't need Baron, we just need turrets, as they lose their bottom side because they couldn't quite control that wave. But they pick one up top.
I'm just gonna rewind that real quick. Did you call Fizz's ultimate the Chum Bucket?
Okay. Yes, I did. I'm a SpongeBob fan at heart. Don't judge me.
I mean, I'm still gonna judge because that's not a plankton that's being thrown. It's something much bigger. It's a shark.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
I guess in the case of this skin, it's a giant rabbit. But I mean, if anything, we should be making Monty Python references then, since that's a killer rabbit. But
yeah, true.
In this case, it looks like that the Pupper Dogs are gonna be going for a bit of ward coverage over here towards the Baron side. They missed one pink ward, but they did spot it out, so they haven't paid, they haven't noticed. And they need to try and get as many wards around, as well as denying the vision from the side of St. Cloud as well, to make it so that they can either go for Baron baits or Baron sneaks. Which, honestly, with their team composition, they can't really go for a Baron contest, because they lack that heavy engage, they lack that tank, and with the Chum of the Waters, with Depth Charge, there's just too much threat. And
with Charm on a Berg, it means that he's going to get bursted down. Something I want to talk about is how little these teams seem to be controlling the waves. This bot side in particular for St. Cloud has been really difficult. And actually, the engage out of 3 members. Tempered Fate being huge. Redemption's thrown down. Can they get the damage? Winged Couch first to go down to Berga. Demolisher's trying to get onto the backside, but he can't quite get it. Sean Nelson picking up a second kill. Puffboy going down as well. That's 3-0 St. Cloud coming out huge here. That's a 4-0. Springs 24 does not want Updog to get away. They can't quite get onto him, though. Maybe they'll catch up, but even so, just the support Bard cannot stop this siege onto the inhibitor. The flash from Real J-Dog, they want it. And they honestly might just look to end the game here. They have the wave.
Updog lacks the wave clear. He lacks the potential to carry and kill off the people taking these towers. This should be a game that is 10 seconds until anyone is up from the Pupper Dogs, so this should be game number 3 going over to St. Cloud, who, as we mentioned, are in a bit of the underdog position right now. They need to be able to win their way back into playoff spots, and they are doing just that.
And what an incredible comeback from St. Cloud. They were behind by so many kills, but controlling the objectives, and that's what the name of the game is. It doesn't matter how you do in team fights in the early game. You can give up kills as long as you're not losing turrets and not losing the CS game. If you can keep up with gold, losing kills doesn't really impact the game that much. In the late game is when it matters. If you die in the late game and you have a 40-second death timer, you're going to lose a lot. And that's what St. Cloud understood. They could give those kills early and then still push objectives. They got ahead in turrets. They got ahead in gold. They got those dragons that they needed. Didn't even care about Baron because they said, look, let's just get turrets, let's push into their base, and then in the late game when we get the kills, we can push and end.
Yeah, and like it was mentioned before, the main source of gold that was being devoted to the Pupper Dogs was into Fiora, which again is not that useful in team fights. You have to remember that. So if you're going to devote gold to one member, at least put it into someone that will be more important when grouped up, such as Ultimatum or Wayne Cow. And even then, Springs 24 and Sean Nelson were doing immense amounts of work. Specifically looking at the damage charts, Sean Nelson did 33,000 damage, 12,000 more than the next highest person on the side of the Pupper Dogs, which actually was Demolisher. And that
actually, Sean, yeah, exactly. Demolisher, again, I mean, showing up huge. We saw him on Rek'Sai last game, on at least this game. His stat line was 6-1 at one point, ending the game at 6-7, meaning he died 6 times without getting a kill.
But that's gotta hurt. Assists. He had 15 assists. You always have to look at assists when you're looking at those stat lines. You should know you play supports.
True, but as the jungler, I guess it makes more sense if you're playing Elise as a tank. He was trying to play her as a carry. We're looking at the Proto Belt. We're looking at the Runic Echoes jungle item. We're looking at Leandri's. He's looking to do the damage. He's looking to get those kills. And that's what we were talking about. Can he play those tanks?
He did do the damage.
True.
You have to give him that. He did the damage. However, he didn't have the full impact that was necessary to really sway the game in favor. And as we mentioned, the overall team composition of St. Cloud was superior in the sense that if they were to group up, they could easily win. and there simply wasn't enough pressure coming from the Pupper Dogs to force them to stay away from being grouped.
Very true. But in the end of the day, we got to give player of the game to somebody. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm giving it to Springs 24. I know Sean Nelson did the most damage. He did a really good job controlling the waves. But Springs 24, time and time again, showed how well he could duel. He would go in 1v4, distract the Pupper Dogs, and still get a kill or two in some instances, as well as being able to outduel the Fed Fiora. Really, really strong showing from him. So in my opinion, I got to give player of the game to him. What do you feel, Fenris?
I completely agree. He did an immensely powerful job in terms of diving and just taking out the carries from the side of the Pupper Dogs. So he was able to do what no one else in his team really could. As you mentioned, Sean Nelson had those damage numbers, but you have to remember damage numbers are going to be lower on someone who dives in all-ins as compared to someone who simply pokes. When you're poking all game, yeah, your damage numbers are going to be high because you're doing damage throughout the entire game, just doing little pokes at a time. When you're all-inning, you're just doing 100-0 flat out, and that's where you can see that that's the reason why Springs 24 has so many more kills than Sean Nelson.
And still less deaths.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to say Sean Nelson, absolutely amazing game. But the reason I give it to Springs 24 is I see him as the enabler. Sean Nelson has so much CS, so much damage because of what Springs 24 was able to do. And that's why I got to give it to him.
Exactly. And with that, that's going to be the end of game number 3, going over to St. Cloud, pulling out that underdog-style win. And for game number 4, we'll be coming to you with the UMN Pocket Picks versus the UM Dads. Come join us in about 5 minutes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our final game of the evening. Again, this is Week 8 of Minnesota LCS Day 1. Pocket picks against University of Minnesota Duluth, formerly known as the UM Dads. Now I am told that there's a name change, and I will try to find that. It is now the UMD Ram Ranch.
Yeah,
I liked dads. I liked dads. It gave me an excuse to make dad jokes, to act a little more silly. But you know what? I'll respect it.
Personally, I prefer the UM Dads just because Ram Ranch has such a bad connotation if you know the movie.
I do not.
I'm not gonna say it. I'll tell you after the cast. You can find out later on.
Oh, come on. We're all adults here. We all understand what.
No, I mean it's something that could actually
do.
get, like. I'm saying it's something if I described it could actually be like sue worthy because it's highly inappropriate for any young viewers.
Okay, give it to me in a euphemism. Use code words that I would still understand the meaning.
Do you
but
know
we
Brokeback
could.
Mountain?
Yes, I do.
That's Ram Ranch.
Hey. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, yeah.
You know what? Yeah. This is a professional broadcast.
Yeah.
Minnesota LCS is and their affiliates do not condone any inappropriate names of teams, but at the same time, Ram Ranch is completely innocent, and I approve now. So let's get
it's a fine name. It's just not say too much.
Okay. I'll give him that. I'll say that that's good.
Yeah. All right. So we do have the Pupper Dog or the Pocket Picks. Whoops! I was so used to seeing the Pupper Dogs for the last
come on, Don.
Oh, quiet you. We have the Pocket Picks coming in on the blue side with Ram Ranch going to be on the red side for game number 4, finishing off the night. So it's going to be a UMN versus UMD team. Usually teams that we see be quite aggressive towards one another due to a simple rivalry between the schools.
And also, just for anybody interested, do not search that link placed in chat for the game. I cannot stress that enough. Do not search that.
Did you click on it?
I might have.
Oh, why?
Maybe. I was curious.
Why?
It was for science. I trust my fellow MNLCS participants, whether they are players or casters. I trust you, Don. I trust the Ram Ranchers, although now I know better.
Yeah. But looking at the Ram Ranch and Pocket Picks, they have a pretty close score right now. The Ram Ranch is 4-3, while Pocket Picks is 3-3. So both around that 50-60% win rate. And I'm really excited to see whether or not one of these teams are going to be taking over one another.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, talking about Ram Ranchers having one more win, but they also have one more game over Pocket Picks. So if Pocket Picks can pick this up, hey, no pun intended, they are now. It's not going to end. This is my life, Don. I hope you realize that. But they will assert themselves as better. They're tied for wins, but they have that tiebreak victory by having the victory over the Ram Ranchers. And that's what they're looking for right now. It doesn't matter if they're tied in wins and losses. It matters if they have personally beaten the other team that is tied with them. And so that's what this match is all about. Pocket Picks have got to be looking to get this one win that they need. And looking at average rank of players, was it Ram Ranchers or Ranch Rammers? I'm getting confused.
No. It's just Ram Ranch.
Ram Ranch. Okay, Ram Ranch. They are overall have a slightly higher ranks, even currently, not even affiliated with last season, but currently 4 members in Diamond 4 with 1 Plat 3. And on the side of the Pocket Picks, all 5 members in Plat. So very, very similar ranks. Diamond 5, yes, they broke that threshold, but they're still at the bottom of the Diamond class, technically, meaning that this is going to be a really close match, and I'm really excited to see. We talked about what that can mean for a team. Typically, the lane doesn't change that much, but the macro play is absolutely affected by the average skill of the players themselves.
And that's something we definitely saw take place back in the last game where we were mentioning that whole difference between gold, diamond level players, and platinum players in general.
But we did see, again, St. Cloud with Springs 24 being a diamond player surrounded by 4 gold players, being able to pick up the win against the Pupper Dogs with 2 gold players and 3 plats. So the averages were close in that game again, but the one team with a diamond player did win the overall game. So we'll see if that kind of translates into the side of the Ram Ranch.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to see, just a little play on the name, would be if Ram Ranch now always plays champions such as Alistar, especially with that new skin coming out to where he's literally just a cow giving milk. I mean, it'd be very fitting of the theme.
All right, and actually, I gotta make a correction. Nerfikali Please is only a Plat scrub in Plat 4, so not up to the diamond caliber of the other players. I was looking at you, Don. I'm sorry. I clearly saw your rank and thought that you were a member of their team. So that was my bad. But Nerfikali Please, again, not actually an Akali player himself. We've seen them oftentimes play different champions. He's played, I believe, what I've seen so far is a Victor and a Katarina, which are not Akali champions. So what do you think his name means?
Katarina is still very similar to an Akali clone, very dash heavy, and the moment you jump on someone, you just do a lot of bursts. So it's very similar in play style. It's just much more difficult in execution and a lot higher payoff for it too. Other champions we've seen Nerfikali Please on is also Ahri and Syndra. I say the best showing overall was definitely on Ahri, so I would like to see that again since we've also seen Ahri in all the other games today. And I would like to also see a Graves actually make it through the pick bans.
Yeah, we, again, have not seen a Graves played. Considered one of the best junglers right now. We've seen a lot of other jungler bans as well, though. We've seen Lee Sin banned. We've seen Elise, Rek'Sai, as well as Kha'Zix even banned. So a lot of jungle focus in the ban phase in particular. I'm curious to see if that follows over. I would love to see Graves played, but at the same time, I think it's wise to ban him out unless you're on the blue side. If you are on the side of the Pocket Picks, don't ban him. Let the Ram Ranch ban him out. Sorry, again, the name a little confusing, trying to get used to it. But let Ram Ranch ban it out, because if Pocket Picks ban it out, that shows that Northern Essence isn't comfortable on him when he's one of the best junglers right now. So that's somebody he should be comfortable on.
Yeah, I mean, even though Graves is recognized as the best jungler right now, I could also see many other junglers being fair game. Just we saw Hecarim get banned. You mentioned all the other ones get banned as well. So eventually, one of those are going to get through, unless if literally all 6 bans are used on those junglers, which I highly doubt because there are other contestable picks. We've seen Ahri have great showing in all these games.
And now Ivern ban. And yeah,
so
again,
I can also understand if we see an Ahri ban.
Yeah, 3 games of the night already have seen Ahri. 2 games have seen Syndra. So some mid laners really showing their prowess. But again, focus put in to Camille. And now finally an Ivern ban. That's the first one we've seen, but yet another jungle focus.
I'm actually having technical difficulties to where my client just crashed.
All right. Well, I will give you the information as it comes up. My client's doing fine. So I think this is official. Sir Butt
Oh,
Kicks
no, I'm in.
stream
Okay.
better than Madcast
Yeah.
Fenners.
It's just
Nunu
catching
ban.
up right now. I'm catching up right now. I see the Nunu ban.
Yeah,
that came
spicy
through
with
early
the
on. I'm still
Kazakhs.
trying to catch up with all of the other ones. I think things are just really behind for me.
We're only on 4 bans right now. We have Ivern, Camille, Nunu, and Kazakh. So 3 jungle bans and 1 top laner. Meaning that the jungle pool yet again is very low. Ari finally banned out, having 100% pick ban this week so far, or today so far. We've yet to see Thursday. We'll see what that brings. But as of this week, and now Karma. So many times have we seen Karma banned against Manslice. The Pocket Pick support has played Karma whenever it's up, but honestly, I've talked to him before. He said he doesn't mind playing other champs, and he's confused when it's banned against him, meaning that, again, the Ranch Rams are really respecting that pick in the bot lane. But in the meantime, Lulu has picked up for Manslice. Kind of almost a better Karma right now in the meta. You have the same shield potential. You have the same, well, maybe not the same, but very similar poke potential. But you also have much more dive protection. That ultimate makes it so that the enemy team, it's almost impossible to dive you under turret. And it's also really strong in the late game. You ult your AD carry. They do more damage and also take way less. So really strong pickup there. I like that it's locked in right away. We cannot talk too much about the strengths of Lulu. But on the side of the Ranch Rams, a Kog'Maw J4. Now, J4, I would assume in the top lane, but keep in mind, he has been playing mid. He has been playing jungle even. So that is kind of a flex pick right now. It makes the Pocket Pick's next choice a little more difficult. Are they going to try to counter it in the top lane when it could get swapped around? Or are they going to pick up maybe one of those meta 80 carries? Caitlyn's on the table. 007 Varus very comfortable on that champ. Ezreal also on the table, something that we've talked about as being a very strong pick. So hovering Lee Sin and Caitlyn. Lee Sin locked in and Caitlyn as well. So this is what they're opting to do into that Kog'Maw lane. They want the Lulu and the Caitlyn. Caitlyn being able to outrange Kog'Maw pre-level 6, but once Kog'Maw gets that ultimate, it's really difficult for Caitlyn to kind of be in that matchup. The Lulu shields will help, keep in mind, so I do like that pick still. And the Lee Sin in the jungle, I've honestly never seen a meta where Lee Sin doesn't make sense in some matchups. I think he's almost always strong at some point, especially if you have the mechanical skill to keep up with him. Then the Orianna locked in on side of Ram Ranch. Showing the mid lane is a little ballsy. They have the choice to show the mid lane or the top lane, because keep in mind they still have that J4 as a flex between jungle and top. I guess they don't want to show that yet. Instead, showing mid lane Orianna. Keep in mind there's still Syndra on the table. There's still Victor. A lot of mid laners. They could be played against Orianna. She's got very strong initiation, but can't really compete with some of those lane bullies. Something super aggressive like a Fizz, like an Echo, can do a lot of damage and close that gap, can really make Orianna's life a little bit of a hell. But the Janna pickup into the Lulu, we just saw that in our game 2. It was the Pupper Dog versus Winona. It was Caitlyn with Lulu against Lucian with Janna, but that lane was, not going to lie, very boring to watch, but it made sense. Both of them were just looking to scale and just looking to get ahead. Keep in mind with this matchup, in my opinion, Kog'Maw scales better than the Caitlyn, so I think advantage to Ram Ranch here. Now we're finally seeing Pocket Picks show their lanes. Cassiopeia mid lane onto Chichinger, with Renekton going to Burning Case in the top side. We've seen Burning Case play almost exclusively carry top laners. Playing a lot of Rengar. Or sorry, not Rengar. A lot of Rumble. We've seen a lot of the Renekton, and now also occasionally some of the Kled. So Burning K is really comfortable on those carries. Again, we're not sure if he's against the J4 or if he'll be against something else. And the Gragas hover makes me think he is against the J4. An interesting matchup for the Renekton. But what will the Gragas bring to the team on the side of Ram Ranch? Again, we saw him in that game 1 of Chicken Chasers versus McAllister, being able to counter the Kindred. But what will he really do against the Lee Sin? It's locked in. So I expect to see the Gragas jungle with J4 top. But they might be messing with me. It might be the Gragas top and J4 jungle. Keep in mind, those two champs can exchange those. So it really comes down to what are they more comfortable playing? What do the Ram Ranches want to play into the top lane? And as of right now, they're still hovering Gragas in that top position. They might be holding off. This is a strategy, keep in mind. It is 100% legal. You hold out until about 2 seconds in, make your trade so that your opposing team has already picked their runes and masteries that they want into a certain lane, and then they swap it up. So maybe they have the wrong runes and masteries, the ones that they didn't want. It's 100% legal. We see it in the LCS. Let's see if it's locked in, as J4 and Gragas are officially in their positions with J4 jungle, Gragas top lane. I was expecting the switch. I wanted to see it, but they're choosing to send Gragas against Renekton. A little more range. But again, that dueling potential from Renekton just completely outdamages the Gragas. It's going to be really difficult for Snowcane to deal with Burning Case. I think the Burning Case is in a very comfortable position right now. And then when it comes to the jungle, J4 is clear. Yes, he can be a jungler, but his clear really struggles. He's got to get that Tiamat early to be able to clear those chickens, to be able to clear the wolves even. So I'm expecting to see quite a predictable jungle clear path from him in particular. He's probably, being on the red side, he's got to start on his blue buff and then go to Krugs and then go to wolves. Maybe even make an early back, or just go to red, try to get the Tiamat early. And now you're only hearing Sir Buttkick's voice because unfortunately my co-caster, Madcast Fenris, is having some internet difficulties, some technical difficulties, so he's out for the moment, but you get my voice, my smooth, silky voice to listen to for the next couple minutes. We're getting into this game in about a minute and a half, so I usually ask my co-caster what they think about a certain team comp, who they think won the overall pick and ban phase. But for now, it looks like I get to do it myself. So I personally have got to give it to the side of the pocket picks. They have this scaling bot lane just like the Ram Ranches do, with very similar supports, but I personally believe Lulu is just a better rounded support right now than Janna is. Yes, Kog'Maw can scale better than Caitlyn, but Cassiopeia is also a heavily scaling champion, more so than the Orianna. Lee Sin can affect the jungle more so than the J4, and Renekton can win lane more so than Gragas. So the bot lane, I think I would give slightly in the favor of Ram Ranches, but every other position I got to give to the pocket picks. So that's why I'm giving them my seal of approval for pick bans. In terms of bans, I'm questioning the Nunu ban. So I like the bans coming from the side of Ram Ranches more, but the team comp from pocket picks, slightly better in my opinion. Now looking at some of these masteries, Ghost on both mid laners. We haven't seen this yet in any of the other matches this day so far in Minnesota LCS. Pupper Dogs, both their games, not taking it. McAllister, St. Cloud, Winona, Chicken Chasers, no one taking Ghost. But both of these champs, it makes more sense. And it also makes sense because this is the first time we are seeing each of these champs played in Minnesota LCS for this Tuesday broadcast. So 5 more seconds to load into the game. I hope you are all strapped in, ready to go. Keep in mind, this is probably the most hype match of the evening, as it is the two teams that are the closest to the top in the standings. Every single game so far has been pretty close. The last game, St. Cloud had an upset win over the Pupper Dogs, being much lower in the standings. But Pocket Picks and the Ram Ranches are very close to the top right now, both being in that top 5 spot. So This is a very important match. They're both almost guaranteed spots in playoffs, but this will kind of ensure their seed in the playoffs to be not have to fight through the gauntlet nearly as much.
Well, this specific game will not guarantee the spots, and I am back, and I will be spectating this match. I was able to fix all the issues. And with them both being right towards the middle of the standings, as you mentioned, it's not actually guaranteed. If they lose a bunch of the next matches throughout the following weeks, while the lower tier teams win their own matches, they could actually fall out of the playoffs. But,
very true. But again, as I was saying, this is the winner of this is going to have a better position going into.
Definitely. And we can see that everything in terms of starting items, keystone masteries is very typical. The only thing that I would say maybe a little unexpected in terms of summoner spells is going to be the Ghost onto Orianna. I can understand that's Cassiopeia. Having the early movement speed really helps, especially when you can't purchase boots early on into the game. But with an Orianna, I feel like a barrier or an exhaust would be much better, especially when they have two divers such as Renekton and Lee Sin on the enemy team.
And we're seeing a 5-man invade from the Pocket Picks trying to get on to the side of Ram Ranches. And Riven Essence trying to jump on to Nerfakali, please. Getting a lot of damage. Cripple coming in from the backside. Ghost actually burned, meaning that it is summoner spell advantage for Pocket Pick.
Yeah, and already we can see that going down. They could easily get some wards into the jungle. They already have one spine over the blue buff, but they could get more to try and see whether or not Cripple is going to be going for a full clear or a fast style clear. And it looks like there's also going to be a ward going right over onto the blue buff at the other side from Snowking, knowing to place it down while he could. So they will be spying Riven Essence going to that blue buff for an early start.
Yeah, I like the invade. I like it anytime any team goes for an invade, because you'll almost always get something unless the other team is expecting it. And we could see there that the Ram Ranchers weren't quite ready for it. They saw it happening, but they still had to burn a summoner spell. So I'm always a fan of the 5-man all-in invade.
Yeah, and we can see that Snowking looks like he's already going to be trying to show his presence up in the top lane, make it known that he will be ready to try and start clearing it. He doesn't really throw out any abilities just yet, so he will be letting the wave simply freeze up. Meanwhile, things look pretty standard for both sides. You can see that Riven Essence is going for more a full clear style, going straight to the ground, while Cripple is going for more a fast clear style, which does make a bit of sense because Riven Essence on Lee Sin could easily do the full clear of his top side and then go straight to mid or top. Having Aurora's bot is a Caitlyn Lulu. You don't really have to worry about them, especially since the opposing lane is Kog'Maw Janna. That's not aggressive at all. And as we saw in the previous game 1, where it was a Lulu Janna bot lane of the supports,
Ooh.
It's really hard to get any kills.
But we're seeing Riven Essence going to that top side, but they saw it coming. Cripple placing that early ward, and now Snowcane taking some early damage. Jumps over the wall of the belly flop, but they're stopping that red buff take from Cripple. Very smart play from Cripple, though. He understood it's a popular Lee Sin play to early try to steal that red buff from them. But it might actually be secured from the side of the Pocket Picks.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be continuing trying to contest it. There is pressure towards the side of the Pocket Picks. However, Snowcane is coming back around. Cripple is there. So they could try and go for an all-in here. It looks like Cripple simply wants to back off while Snowcane is still there.
Ooh, red buff to Riven Essence.
The barrel from Snowcane almost stole it. He popped it just a half second too late.
Ooh, Burning Case not getting over the wall. They're trying to get Snowcane, though. Can they actually get him?
Yeah, they won't be able to dive him this early.
Yeah, Riven Essence
way too early.
Losing some time in the jungle, but still getting that red buff steal means that he is ahead of Cripple, who's very low. Try to get these chickens.
The Raptors.
Yeah, if Riven Essence can spot him out. There was the ward there, so he saw how low Cripple was. Now he's in the mid lane trying to get Nerfakali, please. Getting that damage. Oh,
but he took a tower shot in the process.
Really smart plays from Cripple, or from Nerfakali, please, rather.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the big issue is, though, is that Cripple is quite behind in his jungle now. He is missing a red buff, which is crucial to his clear and healthiness. Meanwhile, we can see that Riven Essence is just taking one buff after another. he's going to be having a 3-buff starts, probably going to his Raptors right after, since they give a very high amount of experience, which should put him a full level ahead of Cripple.
Yeah, and we're talking about these early game leads. There's been no kills, no huge summoner spells burned. But the early game is mostly about the jungle. If the jungle can get significantly ahead right now, that will snowball the rest of the game, and that's exactly what we're just talking about. Rivenescence getting 3 buffs, and now getting this vision around Dragon means that he's really going to be controlling the tempo of the jungle over Cripple.
Yeah, although it's a little too early to try and rush a Dragon unless if a double kill can happen around bot lane or mid, which in all honesty, again, one of them is an Orianna with Ghost Flash, very defensive style, and the bot lane is a Kog'Maw Janna, which have very high range and very high peel. You're not going to get kills in either of those lanes. Just saying, your best bet in trying to go for kills is going to be in the top lane, which Burning Case is on a champion that naturally shoves. You have the Renekton who wants to push in and keep his Fury as high as possible. That essentially guarantees that you're not going to be ganking any lane to success, and the only other option you really have is to try and use Lee Sin's early power to just counter jungle Cripple as hard as you can.
But what's interesting to note is the ward placement from 007 Varus and Manslice. They played them fairly shallow in the enemy jungle, meaning that Pocket Picks had to guess where Cripple was. They didn't have actual vision of him. He went topside, and they pinged him out, saying he could be there. But they didn't know for sure. I would have liked to see Manslice noticing, yep, Cripple had to back. Let's get a deep ward onto Grump. See if he's on Grump. If he's not on Grump, we know he's topside, and we know where the jungler is. They were able to guess where he was, but they weren't entirely sure.
Yeah, especially with
interesting
blue buff spawning real soon. Oh, Cripple in the bot lane, though.
Is going in onto 007 Varus. Manslice a little too far forward, gets knocked up. Everybody onto him, he flashes away. There's the exhaust. The slows on him. Can they get the kill? Exhaust on the Kakarino. 007 Varus. Heal coming out, but there is Elisa and Rivenescence. This is where he's showing why he's so far ahead right now. Can he get onto Cripple? Can they get anything for this? Not quite. Just a lot of summoner spells burned. But top lane, actually, Burning Case getting ahead of Snowcane, as well as Chinger onto Nerf Golly, please. This is now level 5 against the level 6. Snowcane taking damage, might be going down first. Flashes away, but fails. Oh! First blood to Snowcane. There's the bursting barrel.
Woo! Barely getting that kill out right because of the Q, getting that fast proc out, and there was almost a 1-for-1 trade. If Snowcane had stayed right next to the minions, he would have died.
Rivenescence is going into Kakarino, doesn't quite get the deletion.
The immediate shield by Catbug XO end up saving Kakarino's life. He could try and keep the pressure down here, though, because since both bot laners are going to be forced to back, you can either go for the blue buff that you know Cripple was just in bot lane for, so he had to back because he got really low. You could easily take that buff for yourself and then pressure this turret, which rushing down First Blood turrets would be immense, especially because then Kakarino and Catbug XO would have no turret to defend themselves with.
And again, the Ram Ranch got First Blood, but tied for gold. Actually behind 200 now. Gonna be behind more.
1,000.
Coming out huge here.
Yeah, and this is where we can see that having that little bit of early pressure can always make a big difference, especially when that pressure is in your jungle. We can see already that Rivenescence is level 6, while Cripple just hit level 5.
Yeah, Rivenescence having such a big impact in these lanes. We're talking about how he doesn't really have a lane to gank. It's that easy, but with an ultimate available, it's going to be much easier. Nerf Collie, please, gets those shields, but the ultimate from Rivenescence is enough to kill. Typically used for CC, but this time Dragon's Rage picking up a kill for Rivenescence.
Yeah, that is a very powerful ability, especially in the early game because of the immense scaling that it has, and not many people are going to have that much armor on, especially Orianna, who has some of the lowest armor in the game, just because I believe she only has 20 base armor?
Definitely could be. Burning Case, again, showing that he is not only pushing Snowcane into his own turret, but getting these farm advantages. And I like the lane swap. 007 Varus immediately going top, putting pressure on this turret. Manslice joining. This is a 3v1. And Catbug and Cripple might be coming a little too late, but they are in a good position to gank. If they try to go all in, Catbug showing first, that was not wise. You got to send Cripple in first. He's the one that can actually engage. Instead, they're looking to just stop this siege, but they really can't against the Caitlyn.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult trying to keep this siege defended just because you can have all the flank positions completely trapped up, which is exactly what 007 Varus was able to do. They could potentially be going for another tower up here. We can see that Cripple is going to be forced to back off, and right now they're trying to pressure whatever they can, but there's nothing they can really simply take for themselves until they can get a pick off.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of resources into this top, meaning that Kakarino has to go up there. He was pressuring that bot turret ahead in CS now over 007 Varus, pushing the wave in, but you gotta stop the pressure on that top turret rather than just get ahead in CS. Yes, you are a scaling champ, but that doesn't mean you can just give up on the early game.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some teams be able to really pull it off towards the late game, but with the composition that the side of the Ram Ranch has, I'm not too sure how well they'd be able to pull it off, especially because Pocket Picks have that Cassiopeia who is just going to be doing immense work.
And Riven Essence going in onto the enemy team, gets exhausted, doesn't quite get the kickoff right. It's a 4v5 now. This is looking awful for the Pocket Picks. They pick up 1 kill in return. It's a 1-for-1, but now Kakarino gets a double, just tearing down the backline. Manslice and 007 Varus have to get out. Riven Essence was so far forward, tried to get a good kick, but didn't flash it. If he had flashed and kicked Kakarino into his own team, maybe it could have worked. But really, just gotta feel bad as a jungler, knowing that, yep, sorry guys, didn't quite play that one correctly, and instead, it's an answer in kills for the Ram Ranchers, but they were able to secure that turret, which is good news for Pocket Picks.
Yeah, the big issue though is the fact that during that fight, it all started off just because Riven Essence tried too heavily to engage that fight using the Dragon Rage, but instead got exhausted and slowed down to where he could not get in the proper position. He could have flashed, as you mentioned, but if anything, you should realize that that fight was a lost cause and simply gotten out.
I could not agree more, but now we're seeing that, unfortunately, Ram Ranch can't really do much to capitalize on it. They got the kills, still behind in gold, and not pressuring much on the map. Their bot lane was pushed so far forward, which means Kakarino can pick up a lot of free farm, but they're losing so much map pressure right now.
They're losing map pressure, but again, you have to remember they are scaling composition, especially with the Kog'Maw, as well as Orianna being fairly strong in the late game. So it's kind of that ticking time bomb situation where if they don't deal with this Kog'Maw soon, it's gonna become a problem. However, it looks like the side of the Pocket Picks want to try and force off Nerfakali Please and Cripple from this mid lane tower to make it their own. However, I don't think they'll actually be able to pull that off, just because the wave clear that'll come in from both Cripple and Nerfakali Please is simply too strong.
Yeah, and the siege potential that Caitlyn offers is so strong, but there's the shockwave on a Burning Case of Riven Essence. The ultimate from J4 locks out Burning Case, but he's able to jump away to safety. And ultimately, it's 2 ultimates burned for not much on the side of the Pocket Picks, just some health bars.
However, this does mean the burn case is low enough that if they were to engage in a full 5v5, it would be in the favor of Ram Ranch. So if anything, they should recognize that burning case will have to back real soon, and they should either try and force something or bait something to force that teleport out, making it so that the teleport advantage will be down, and they could even engage a fight that could be in their potential favor using the explosive casks to separate the side of the Pocket Picks.
I like the way you think, but unfortunately, the side of the Ram Ranch are choosing to instead just kind of reset their waves. They're not doing much with this pressure, not opting to go for those fights. Instead, still sending Kakarino bot. They're saying, look, you have 2 kills and an assist. You're ahead in farm. Let's put the pressure on you. Let's let you carry this game to an extent. Keep giving you farm, keep giving you resources, because that Kog'Maw late game is going to be an absolute monster.
Yeah, and they're recognizing that Kog'Maw will be a monster on his own. It looks like Riven Essence wants to go for the kill and backs off the moment he sees the heal pop out, though.
Yeah, so it is Summoner Spell burned from Kakarino, but he's not done. He wants to get Riven Essence, who's very low, and has to jump away. Still not burning any sums, though, means it is Small advantage Pocket Picks, but now Cripple on to 007 Varus, who tries to flash away, doesn't quite get it. Burning Case, here he is, ultimate up, health low, trying to go into Chinger, jumping onto Cripple. It is a kill. Burning Case survives somehow. And Nerf Akali, please, no mana, no ultimate available. Can she even get away? She does barely run towards safety, but really good play from Pocket Picks, making it just a 1-for-1 trade.
With a red buff also going in their favor towards Burning Case, who was the one who got pretty low and survived, but that red buff will give him a lot more health regen and making it so that he can easily stay in lane without having to back. And one thing to kind of note, you mentioned that Kakarino is on that ticking time bomb, and the rest of the Ramrant side is building completely for it. You can see that Snowcane and Cripple are building far tankier to make so that they can simply peel and engage. However, Kakarino cannot be alone.
On Kakarino again. This is the second time he knows there's no heal available at this moment. There's the flash from Kakarino. No flash from Evanescence. Can he catch up? He's getting the damage. Gets the kill. There's Cripple. There's Manslay. So keeping him alive. Really well played from Evanescence.
Yeah, and this is going to be the third turret going down for the Pocket Picks. They're doing excellent at objective control. This is an astounding early game from their side, so they can be behind a kill, they can be behind farm in some of their lanes, but due to the sheer tower pressure, they are simply dominating.
Yeah, and enough cannot be said about Reminiscence getting ahead in the jungle and snowballing that to getting ahead by cleaning up these kills, shutting down Kakarino, who's getting that free farm, getting those kills. They gotta control Kog'Maw, otherwise this late game is almost gonna be unwinnable. But now he's going back in on Nerf Akali, please, misses the Q.
But that was a flash burn by Nerf Akali, please. So that was a decent trade. Trying to go for the deep dive and burning a flash completely for it. Now we can see that the bottom wave is stacking up pretty nicely. Kakarino's going over to Collective, but they are going to be trying to trade the Rift Herald over for that. The moment that they see Kakarino, they know that they will be completely safe going for this. The only person that could potentially stop them would be Snowcane going for a steal, or even Cripple, because they're missing Lee Sin to have that smite. But it looks like Cripple knows he will simply die going for it, and there's no use.
Very true, and that Rift Herald onto Burning Case means that even though he's a little behind Snowcane in terms of kills, he's got that CS advantage, and now the Rift Herald advantage. He's got to be able to pull off this 1v1 now, especially after being able to back and pick up some more items.
Especially if this item that he's going to be picking up is going to be either complete the Black Cleaver or building up towards one of those Hydras. Not too sure which one he's going to opt for yet. If he wants to go tankier and let his team do the killing, it'd be much harder to go Titanic Hydra. But if he wants a more solo lane and keep Snowcane at bay, then the Ravenous Hydra would be a much better option.
I definitely agree. And we will see based on what he chooses to do. One thing to note, however, the build path of Snowcane still not completing an item doesn't mean much because Burning Case hasn't completed an item, but it means that this Gragas is in an odd position. When he plays tank, he's got to get ahead because he's not quite, or when he plays top, he's got to get ahead. He's not quite a tank, he's not quite a damage dealer, and with his build right now, he really can't stand the damage output from this Cassiopeia right now.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what we saw before, where if you only have the health items, you only have partial items, not anything really completed, you're not going to be nearly as effective as you would be rushing those completed items. However, once we do see everything get finished up, he will be a complete monster.
That is very true. It just depends on if they can get to that point, and that is again the name of the game as Pocket Picks looks to take their second drag of the game, maybe trading top turret for it.
Yeah, no, this would definitely be a trade for the top turret just because no one is nearby to answer that. We could see a teleport coming in from Burning Case, but it looks like he'd rather go for a 5v5 and potentially force the teleport to come in from Snowcane instead.
But Snowcane will pick up that turret, meaning the drag for turret trade is complete. Blue buff is picked up from Pocket Picks though. They're in an odd position for this team fight. Something's got to happen here. Either they got to pressure the turret, or Ram Ranch has got to answer.
Snowcane.
Not into a great position. Nerf Akali, please, has ultimate available. Shockwave could come in. If it lands onto multiple members, that would be huge. But instead, they decided to back off.
The Pathfinder Snowcane was very, very weak for trying to use a teleport. His teleport ended up being completely wasted. he passed around towards his tribush, when in all honesty, he should have gone down through the river so that he could throw his explosive cast behind enemy lines and knock them all towards the Nerf Kali Please to get that shockwave off, as you mentioned. Which, if they were to combo the ultimates of explosive cast, cataclysm, and shockwave, that would have been an easy team fight for the side of Ram Ranch, but they just simply did not have the right pathing.
Yeah, again, that TP, if you're gonna use it, you gotta understand where to use it. The ward wasn't necessarily the worst, but the positioning afterward was questionable, especially when you still have that wave pushing in top. If you just stayed there, maybe they could have pushed for another turret, pulled the teleport from Burning Case, meaning that they would have TP advantage. But instead...
Another case could also be that if both towers get pressured, he simply keeps on pushing the wave until they actually reach the tower on the side of the pocket picks, and then have Snow King use the teleport to come in from behind, because you can see there's another board in that tribe rush. Oh, never mind!
And Kakarino takes down Tachinger before we even have a moment's notice. Great shockwave from Neferkali, please.
It was a great shockwave, but that was also a shockwave used for just one person and a tower, so that means that if a full 5-on-5 team fight is forced to the next one that Tachinger is up, they will be down the shockwave, which is a key piece to their team fights. However, you can see that it's already almost back up because of that 20% CDR on Neferkali, please. So if they want to force a team fight, it has to be soon. Very
true. And this is a very interesting tipping point. The gold is pretty much evened out. Even though pocket picks were ahead by about 2,000 at one point in this game, they still have the Dragon advantage. They still have Rift Herald on Burning Case. They got to be playing around him. He has the teleport advantage. He's got to push in this top.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to be doing. And as you mentioned, the gold is even out, but you have to look at exactly who has it on each side. You can see that majority of the gold for the side of the pocket picks is centered around Tachinger, so you have to play around him and peel for him. Meanwhile, 777 Varus is still only level 9 with a whole 1,000 gold behind Kakarino. So in all honesty, forget about 777 Varus and let Tachinger do the work. He is still a sustained damage carry. He is much further ahead, and will be far more impactful than 777 Varus is, especially since he doesn't even have Infinity Edge yet.
And looking at the enemy team especially, very little MR coming out from them. With a lot of armor, 2 Ninja Tabis, means that 777 Varus is going to have a difficult time damaging J4 or Snowcane. Again,
as well as the Chain Vest, and a soon-to-be another Ninja Tabi coming from Kakarino, because it looks like he wants to go for that extra peel away from Urban Essence and Burning Case.
Very true, but if anything, this is just going to hurt the side of Ranch late game, because this Cassiopeia is going to scale so well. Reminiscence actually going in, gets exhausted, but there's the Lulu ultimate knocking out multiple members. There's the shockwave, though. It's 1 kill for Pocket Pigs, 1 answered back for the Ram Ranches. Cripple picking up another one. It's a 2 for 0 on the backside. Burning Case, can he pick up Catbug? Not quite. 777 Varus not even getting anything for this. And blinking health bars on the side of Ram Ranch means that they got to play very safe right now, as Burning Case looks to maybe dive under turret. 777 Varus picking up a long-range kill on the Catbug, evening out the kill trades. But again, this health advantage on the side of Pocket Picks means that they might want to push something here.
Yeah, if anything, they could easily rotate over towards mid and try and put some pressure over there. But we can see that Manslides and Burning Case are quite low, so it'd be very risky, especially since one of the people who are incredibly healthy right now is Snowcane, who could easily just jump onto 777 Varus or one of the other low health targets and delete them incredibly fast. While yes, he is building full tank, you have to remember, Gragas has incredibly high base damages that can make it where he can hurt people even while building tank.
Very true. And
now,
we'll see here.
One thing we can see, though, is that both top laners have teleport advantage, and it looks like Burning Case wants to bring attention towards the bot side, which signals that the rest of the team is probably going to be setting up for the Baron, because he wants to try and split far away from it to keep the pressure away, so his team can either sneak it as 4 members, while the rest of the side of Ram Ranch tries to keep the pressure away from the bot lane, or he's going to be staying near where the Dragon is, to make it so that he doesn't have to burn teleport in order to be a part of the fight. That way he can save teleport for the next objective, which will still be Baron.
Yeah, again, that Dragon coming up very soon is yet something else the Pocket Picks wants to pick up. Burning Case going in on the Snowcane in the 1v1. I don't think we get much for it, but again, he's going to push this way faster.
Yeah, we can see that he is building slowly towards that Ravenous Hydra. However, he is still quite a few items away from it and has yet to get any of the lifesteal. So similar to what we saw with the Fiora build last game, until you actually have that lifesteal there, you're going to be losing the trades. Yes, you have Black Cleaver, but you need the lifesteal to make it so you can stay in the trade long enough to get all the Black Cleaver stacks applied.
And again, the 1v1 of Burning Case versus Snowcane, Renekton versus Gragas. Can he actually get anything for this? Has a turn to fall back on, but this is going to be drag picked up, most likely. And it is picked up for Ram Ranch as the Baron is immediately rushed from Pocket Picks. Can they actually get this TV coming in?
No teleport from Burning Case, though.
Yeah, and they are going to back off the Baron, meaning a simple free drag. And a very questionable answer.
Baron, though, because Rivenessence and Burning Case are still low. Burning Case still has yet to back or join the rest of his team. So the Ram Ranch squad could easily try to just force the Baron while everyone else is backed, but it looks like they're just going to opt for farming it up. I don't really understand why. They had a free Baron opportunity.
And it looks as if they're going to lose a couple minions to this bottom turret, although Nerf Please is heading in that direction. Burning Case backing off. Understands that he is not going to be alone in that lane for long. He does have the Rift Herald buff still, but not able to 1v1 Gragas, even with that. This has got to be feeling good for Ram Ranch. I mean, yeah, they're getting to the late game where it's going to be difficult to deal with Cassiopeia, but you're getting your Kakarino ahead, which, again, I mean, that 80 carry, already with Bork, already with Runans, Ninja Tabi to keep him alive even longer. Going to be really difficult to stop this Kog'Maw.
He also has another recurve bow, which is mostly going to be building into either a Gwyntu's Rage Blade, or even potentially a... Oh, I cannot remember the name of the item. The magic resist attack speed item that shreds magic resist.
Wits End.
Yes! Wits End.
There we go. That's that play-by-play caster we wanted.
Oh, shut up.
But
it's rarely ever picked up. It's like someone seen an Ohm Wrecker.
Oh, obviously you haven't seen me play Teemo support.
I never want to see you play Teemo support. Meanwhile, you can see that
True,
Baron
I got
actually
5
being
Runans
gone onto.
anyway.
There's a teleport from Burning Case. Let's see how this fight goes out. Will they just back off?
5v5, Burning Case flashes in. They want to get this engaged. Any exhaust going down? No, but Cripple actually going down. Nerf Please picking up a kill. This is a 0-for-2 trade as of right now, but Blinking Health Bars being the Kakarino goes down. That's another kill. Nerf Please flashes out. Triple for Rivenessence. Can he get the Quadra? Misses the Q. Burning Case trying to get onto Catbug XO. Overall, again, a 3-for-2 trade. Do they go for Baron? They're really low.
No. Rivenessence is far too low. They cannot go for this. They do not have a full tank. Right now, Burning Case is built mostly damage.
Ooh, but can they get onto Catbug? No ultimate available. Flashed away. Means a summoner spell burned. Always a good thing on the side of the Pocket Picks. They can clean up the turret and maybe push something else.
There's nothing else to really push. The next closest thing would be the bot or the wave bottom lane, but that is too far away for them to really reach in time until the other side of Ram Ranch could also meet them up there. So the best thing they can do right now would simply be to reset, collect the gold that they got from that one team fight, especially because right now Burning Case should be able to get his Ravenous Hydra completed. We can also see that Rivenessence has 1900 gold in his pocket. He can pick up quite a few things, and they simply need to work with what they got. Now, one thing they could go for is now that both teleports are down, they can no longer push towards the bottom lane. They need to go straight towards the top with Burning Case and Snowcane and pressure close to the Baron. That way they can simply walk over rather than have to teleport over.
Very true. And we're seeing a little bit of gold discrepancy coming back to the Pocket Picks. 2K ahead again. They had this earlier, and they kind of threw it in a way.
It's 2K, but that's, at this point in the game, that's not too impactful. It's basically the same thing as if it was the same amount of gold, because that 2K is maybe going to be like one cloth armor on someone, being the main difference.
Well,
see that overall
it depends on who has the gold, of course. We're seeing Snowcane having a lot of kills, but not being that far ahead of gold of Burning Case, and that is really saving Pocket Picks right now. Burning Case doesn't have the kills, but he has the farm, which is keeping him very relevant right now.
Yeah, and you can see a major part of Snowcane's fault is literally just because he has only 140 farm in this 28-minute game. Only 5 farm every minute. That is not good at all.
Yeah, and when we're talking about farm per 10 minutes, he's only sitting around, again, 15 farm.
Yeah.
Or sorry, rather 5 farm.
5 farm per minute.
50 farm per 10 minutes.
Yeah. But right now, with the waves pushing over and stacking towards the side of Pickpockets, it'd actually be very optimal for them to simply keep the pressure in the mid lane so that no one can address these side lanes. And the moment you see someone appear in a side lane, such as 007 Varus is real soon, you have to force that 5-on-5 fight. You have Nerf Please with the Ghost, so you should have it where it's a go, or it's the ball onto the cripple, go for the Cataclysm into a Shockwave combination to delete whoever is not in the side lanes, which right now it'd be a 4v5 if they win for it, but they're opting to instead send Snowkin to the bot lane now that his teleport's up to at least keep some pressure, as well as to be there for when the dragon spawns.
Yeah, this 4th dragon of the game being a 3rd Infernal Drake. Right now they're tied for Infernal Drakes. Pocket Picks being ahead of Cloud Drake, making their rotation slightly faster. But this Infernal Drake will really be a bigger determinant in terms of who can win the late game. That extra 8% scaling is going to be very large on this Caitlyn and Cassiopeia in particular.
Yeah, and in all honesty, Infernal Dragon wouldn't be too beneficial on the side of the Ram Ranch, just because the only one who's really going to benefit from it is going to be Nerf Please. Meanwhile, you have Cassiopeia and also every other carry member having AD built, so they'll be able to do some
teleport
damage.
from Snowcane means that he's caught up from the rest of the team, but can they catch up in time? He's taking a lot of damage. There's an explosive cast, but he's going to be going down too quickly. But Cripple's there as well. Gets the damage to 1-for-1 trade. Can Birdie Case get out even? He does not.
Oh, 2-for-1.
2-for-1. Dragon secured for Pocket Picks. But can they even escape? It looks like they will. They might lose a turret here.
They will be losing turret. There's no way they have enough wave clear to deal with this. They could easily get caught out if they try and defend it. So this is going to be 2 kills plus a turret. However, the Infernal Dragon did go over to the Pocket Picks. As we mentioned, that is far more useful than if it were to go over to the side of Ram Ranch. They look like they're going for yet another tower.
And this is going to be so difficult for the Pocket Picks to defend. They can't really do it. They only have 2 members right now. With engage from Cucker Rhino, flash in, there's the exhaust, still doing so much damage. Manslice going down. This is looking awful for the Pocket Picks. They're going to take the bottom inhibitor. They have a huge wave. They might even go for game, but instead...
No, there's no way they could go for game, especially with Chainer and Burning Case just coming up. Those are the 2 biggest threats to Cucker Rhino. Which, as we just saw, when the only real threat to Kakarino is Riven Essence, he can simply just flash forward and do enough damage to him that he is a massive threat that has to be recognized. And part of the biggest issue here is that the only person they really have to take care of Kakarino is going to be Burning Case, but he is also easily kept at bay by Snowcane with the body slams and the explosive casks. So the real question is, how are you going to be able to allow Burning Case or Riven Essence to make it into the backline and take care of Kakarino for your team?
It's incredibly difficult. I think that the Ram Ranch have done a very good job of playing around a specific pushed lane. Pocket Picks have been lacking a little bit. They got that top turret earlier, but they really have let bot continually push into themselves. Burning Case has been down there a couple times, but they really have ignored these side lanes and let them continually push into themselves, meaning that they can't really fight at the objectives and then also defend their side lanes. If they lose the objective or lose the team fight, they're going to lose a turret as well, which is a really rough situation to be in.
Yeah, they're doing incredibly well when it came to these type of early game tower takes, having rotations with your grouped up team, but now that both teams are grouped up, we can see that the advantage is slowly leaning over to... Oh! The Shockwave!
And then engagement on the Manslice burns his own ultimate, ult for ult. But honestly, I gotta say that Pocket Picks, the Lulu ultimate, not quite as necessary as the Orianna in terms of those team fights. Yes, it can keep the squishy carries alive, but Orianna's so strong at those initiations, but maybe they don't even need it. They're just gonna look to pressure Baron.
Yeah, and I like this pressure because it's going to be forcing Burning Case to use the teleport. There it is, right on top of the Baron, forcing them off of it. He cancels the teleport, though.
Oh, but Chichinga is going to pay the price going down. Why did he cancel the teleport? He's not near the team anymore. This is going to be double flashes from the bot lane, and Explosive Cast actually knocks him further away to safety. Maybe save Baron, but again, they're not pushing out these side lanes, and Ram Ranch are capitalizing on it. Anytime they win anything, they go straight to a lane, and a deletion onto 007 Varus means that Pocket Picks are falling apart right now. They can't clear the waves. They can't stop the turret push. Burning Caves is too far forward, trying to survive, doesn't do anything. Revenescence! Shockwave's up already. Ultimate on-demand slice from the J4 means that it is a clean ace, and this has got to be end of the game. Going over towards the Ram Ranch.
With the massive waves such as this, as well as the only member going to be up is going to be Chichinga in just a few seconds, unless if you get some massive petrifying gaze into a kill. It looks like no, you'll just be going down by Rhino.
Ooh, and the attempt at a hero save from Chichinga doesn't quite work. Game going over to the side of Ram Ranch, playing those side lanes correctly the way you want to. Getting some kind of advantage and then going straight to the lane that's already pushed, which just happened to be the lane that they were next to.
And that's Ram Ranch pulling out the amazing victory, having it where they could keep the side of Pocket Picks at bay until they were able to get Rhino to become the monster that they needed. But you have to admit, not only did Rhino come through towards the end of the game, but so did Nerfakali. Please gain those amazing shockwaves and building properly to have insane amounts of burst damage and just delete the members of the Pocket Picks.
Yeah, really smart play from Ram Ranch, and I'm curious to see this damage chart. Rhino didn't even get to that hyper late game carry capacity that Kog'Maw can do.
No, he only just finished the Gwynsu's Rage Blade right at the end of the game.
But still doing so much damage. I mean, only being beaten by his own lane partner, or Nerfakali, please, his own teammate, I guess.
Yeah, I hope it wouldn't be lane partner. If somehow Janna outdamaged a Kog'Maw, there'd be something wrong.
You know what? I believe it. It could happen.
Full AP Janna with 3 Medjais.
Catbug XO, he's the carry of the team.
Actually, he used to be the carry of the team. Remember back last split? He was the mid laner.
I actually don't remember that. Was there a name change?
Kyle
There
XO.
must have been a name change.
He was Kyle XO.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he is now the support, actually, so he is used to knowing how to play carries, and that probably explains why he can play support so well, just because when you know what a carry struggles with, you know exactly how to peel for it.
Exactly. And now looking at, again, the damage, Nerfakali, please, Rhino just doing too much that the Pocket Picks could not answer back. They had a strong early game, and they were able to kind of bully out the Ram Ranchers again in that early phase of the game, but they just could not keep the momentum going forward, and they lost it in the late game.
Yeah, and I'd honestly say that throughout all the members of this game, the one that had the best performance was definitely Nerfakali, please, being able to keep control of the mid lane and just completely dominate the moment that a small lead was put into his grasp.
Yeah, I definitely gotta agree. I can't think of anybody else that deserves it more. So congratulations, Nerfakali, please, picking up player of the game for this game. And that is unfortunately the end of our day 1 of week 8 Minnesota LCS Twitch stream. Thank you everybody for stopping by, for enjoying it. There's a lot of games to get through, but they were all really exciting. Stick by for next Thursday, where we have the Pocket Picks again against Ganked by Gophers. That's both University of Minnesota teams playing against each other. Gustavus versus Mavericks, Fighting Saints versus Ganked by Gophers, and then Pocket Picks versus Winona. So both University of Minnesota teams playing twice that day. Going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully see some upsets, see some hype games, and see a lot of Twitch streams. So don't forget to tell your friends, tweet at MNLCS, tweet at MNSirButtKick to get all of your caster updates to see who's casting each week, as well as Madcast Fenris as well. So keep up with us. What was that?
On Twitter, I'm FenFenCast.
FenFenCast, right. So look on Twitter at FenFenCast. Once again, a thanks to our sponsor, Envade. Gaming Apparel for helping make this all possible. Thank you for all the viewers for sticking by and watching these fun games. Thank you for the players, especially for providing us with all the entertainment of the evening. I've been Steve Sir Buttkick Kangas,
And I've
joined
been
by
Donovan Fenfenfe.
There we go. Thank you for stopping by, and see you next time.